It's the Edmonton Oilers, Connor McDavid, RNH, Zach Hyman, Brett Kulak, and Richard, Leon Draisaitl, Vasily Podkolzin, Kasperi Kapanen, Darnell Nurse, Troy Stetcher. It'll be Adam Henrique, Evander Kane, Connor Brown, Matthias Janmark, Trent Frederick, Corey Perry, Jake Wollman, John Klingberg. Again, these rosters are from the last time they played. Stuart Skinner in net. And for the Dallas Stars, it sounds like this. Head coach for Peter DeBoer, Rope Ants, Mikael Granlund, Mikko Rantanen, with Thomas Harley, Miro Heiskanen, Matt Duchene, Jason Robertson, Wyatt Johnson, with Ursula Lindell, Cody Ceci, Sam Steele, Mason Marshman, Tyler Seguin, Oscar Bach, Jamie Benn, and again, it's Donov with Liam Bishop and Alexander Petrovich. Jake Oettinger will be the goaltender of record. Alec, I have been looking forward to this one, but admittedly, the numbers on both sides speak for themselves as far as one team having depth scoring so far and one team not. But how do you see this game today?
You mentioned about one team having depth scoring and the other one not having depth scoring. It's strange because people say that the Stars have the advantage on depth scoring, but this series shows why the game is not played on paper. We have yet to see the breakout performances from the likes of Jason Robertson, Matt Duchene, Tyler Seguin, or Jamie Benn. Meanwhile, 8 of the top 12 scorers in this Western Conference Final are on the Oilers, which is strange to sound because in past years we talk about how the Oilers are a top-heavy team. That's not been the case in this postseason. They started off with questions surrounding their defense and their goaltending, but they've only gotten better as the postseason progressed. They did a good job of boxing out the Vegas Golden Knights in their 5-game series victory over them, and they clogged up the middle of the ice. That shut down the Knights' attack and held them at bay. Against the Stars' attack, that's going to be a completely different story, though Mikko Rantanen has hat tricks in back-to-back games, but in the games that he has scored, he's done so in 5 of the Stars' 13 games in total. So he's been held off the score sheet for 8 of those 13 games. But he's still in the Conn Smythe Trophy leaderboard because of his 9 goals, which easily leads the postseason in goal scoring. The Finnish Mafia has to be huge here, and we're waiting for that breakout game from Wyatt Johnston. Even for his 4 goals and 8 points, he's better than the minus 13 rating that he is.
Yeah, and they also need Matt Duchene to go ahead and find the back of the net because he didn't have a goal, and that's there's 6.6 assists in the same way it's been. So I got some fuzzy numbers here for you. Now some of this will be last year, and then we'll also be pragmatic toward this year. So last year in the series, Jake Oettinger was 2-4. 901 save percentage. Stuart Skinner 4-2, 9-22. If you remember correctly, Edmonton had 26 straight penalty kills in a row. Dallas didn't have any power play goals. Again, Matt Duchene in that series last year had no points in all 6 games they played. Last year's side was Ben, Johnston, Seguin, and Robertson combining for 21. But as Alec mentioned, that second line of the depth scoring has been utterly silent. When you look at it this year, Sam Steele with a goal and 5 assists is the fifth leading scorer for Dallas in points. So that tells you a lot. Dallas's penalty kill is good, though, at 86%. But this is where I want to really jump into for Dallas, because it's negative goal differentials. Outscored 6-9 in the first, 13-16 in the second, 12-13 in the third. Now, what's really interesting, if you look at Edmonton's side of it, they're also outscored in the first and second period, 10-12, 11-13, but they own the third period, 19-9. Calvin Pickard, who's not going to be starting in this series because he's still injured, 6-0, 888 save percentage, but Stuart Skinner also coming off of a couple shutouts since he's been back. And Alec, I like to say this in terms of the goaltending tandem between Skinner and Pickard, that, you know what, sometimes you can see these guys maybe not have a great game, but I will say this, after seeing Stuart Skinner now for several years, whether or not he has a bad game or a great game, he's able to shake it off and get right back into form. And if he can outplay Jake Oettinger again, we'll certainly have a narrative.
That's what I'm curious about. This series perks my interest because the popular prediction is Dallas is going to win this series. The way I see it is that it's a lot tighter than that. If we're not getting 6 or 7 games out of this one, it feels like we're being truly robbed of a spectacle.
And we won't. Let's just say this point blank, Alec. I know we're going to agree here. We're not going to get a 6 or 7 game series if Dallas can't find that secondary goal scoring. They have to have it in this series because, again, Edmonton, about a 3.6 somewhere, 3.7 in the playoffs so far. Dallas is only averaging less than 2.5 goals on this side. So if they don't get the secondary goal scoring, this won't be a long series.
No. There's a negative goal differential, as you pointed out. They entered the conference final with a -4 goal differential. They scored 34 goals. But in total, they've allowed 38 goals. People talk about how about their defense. Well, the analytics paints a different picture as opposed to what the popular narrative is about Dallas. Speak of the likes of Bishop, Heiskanen. Heiskanen has played just 3 games, but his defense needs to step it up at this time of the year.
Yeah, they do. And again, we can also, take some of the narratives for the Dallas Stars about 3.5 years ago with the Rick Bowness team against the Flames when the Flame won in 7 and Johnny Gaudreau scored that game winner. You could talk about that at the time about 3.5 years ago, where Edmonton was a top stack for Hyman, RNH, Connor McDavid, Draisaitl, and those were fundamentally flawed teams. Now we get to this point again where these teams are completely balanced. But as we said, Dallas needs to get that secondary goal scoring. And Edmonton is just continuing to cruise along. They're getting scoring, as Alec mentioned, up and down the lineup. Again, Zach Hyman and RNH are doing everything else. They're just blowing out the water and everything else will be mentioned for Ben Johnson, Seguin, and Robertson. Because if it really wasn't for Rope Hintz, who's got 10, he's second behind Mikko Rantanen. Dallas up and down the lineup, when I mentioned Sam Steele, not very good. And when Dallas trails after 2 periods, they're just 1-3. So that is something to keep in mind. So if Edmonton can get on the front foot and hold that lead, both teams been able to do so. Dallas might be on the back end. But the one thing we can mention, both teams, Alec, are 3-0 in overtime.
So if it does get to a scenario where it has overtime, we're guaranteed that one of these 2 teams loses for the first time. It's a bummer, but nonetheless, it speaks to how good these 2 teams are up and down the lineup, at least at the very end. But Edmonton, they've been much, much better by a drastic volume in the third period. That wasn't the case when they covered Game 2 against in their series against Vegas. But down the series, they were so good at clogging them up. It's a bummer that Vegas' season ended the way it did because they looked solid for most of the year and many players had career years. But all it's going to be remembered for is getting blanked by Stuart Skinner for the final 127 minutes of their season.
Yeah, he was excellent. He's been excellent since he's come back. Now, admittedly, I told you this, Alec, on the side of it in between Tampa and Colorado, I'm getting those wrong, but I said whoever advances out of that's going to the Stanley Cup Finals. If I'm to hold true to that, that's going to mean Florida and Dallas. But I am a little bit concerned about Dallas, as we said about the secondary goal scoring. But I do want to watch if Jake Oettinger ends up giving up a lot of goals here against Stuart Skinner on the other side, because I think I got to give Edmonton a heck of a lot more credit than I have been over the last couple of years. Again, going to the Stanley Cup Finals in Game 7 to be down 3-0 should do that, because when we last saw Connor McDavid, off of that series win against Vegas. And he was interviewed by Sportsnet, Alec. I mean, he was customary and he answered the questions that he needed to be, but Connor McDavid did not do so with a smile on his face. The only bit of business that he cares about is lifting the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, people talk about who's league MVP and all of that. He's just having that business-like expression on him. This Oilers team is playing with a chip on their shoulder. All 18 skaters and both goaltenders. They all have a chip on their shoulder, and they want to show to the NHL that they have unfinished business to finish this year. The curious part is, if we do get a rematch of last year, Edmonton will have the home ice advantage this time around. The Western Conference team will have home ice advantage in this year's Stanley Cup final.
Yes, they will. And the one thing for me, I'll just close out here with the Stars, since we're at American Airlines here for games 1 and 2. If they want to win this series, in my opinion, it's going to have to be more low event. It's not going to be the way that Carolina plays against all the other teams, because you can't shut down Edmonton like that. But they're going to have to probably win games 3-2, 2-1, somewhere around there. If we get to these 4-3, 5-4 type of games, I think that's advantage for the Oilers. But what say you?
I agree with you there. If the Stars were to win some of these games, it's going to be more low event. But it's difficult to completely shut down McDavid and Draisaitl in a playoff game. And even if they get shut down, then here's the Oilers' depth who can step up here, as they showed in Game 2 against Vegas. Mind you, McDavid and Draisaitl didn't have a point in regulation in that game, but they combined for the overtime winner in that second game against Vegas.
That's the thing for McDavid and Draisaitl. They're so good. When you look at them, it's like, oh, it's only 5 or 6 more points than games. And you think it sounds pedestrian, but it's not. But really, in the reality of it, Alec, they haven't had to be monsters, and yet maybe they're due for a breakout.
Yeah, that's the scary part, as what the ESPN crew pointed out. They may be due for a breakout game here against Dallas.
So, if it's okay with you, Alec, I'm going to get things going, and then I'll get set to close today. But if you want to switch roles, we can. I know in the first intermission, I also want to talk to you, unfortunately, about Florida and Carolina, because I have to get your thoughts and see if I'm not overreacting after one game. I'm expecting this series that we're covering tonight to be a good one. I expect it to at least go 6, but I think Game 1 is going to tell us a lot.
Yep, it is. I'll let you take it away for the first period.
So we will go underway here. RNH, Connor McDavid, Zach Hyman on that first line as this is intercepted here. Mikko Rantanen, or Granlund, excuse me. A quick glove save here for Skinner, and we'll get a face-off at 1947.
Dallas has been near unbeatable at home this postseason. Ever since they lost Game 1 against Colorado, they've won every home game ever since. So it's for either one of these two teams being of the utmost importance to set the tone early.
And you could argue for Dallas in the mix of Colorado, Winnipeg, and now Edmonton, they might have had the hardest road of anybody in these Stanley Cup playoffs.
By far and away, you face Colorado and Winnipeg right afterwards. That's the hardest road by far and away.
And there might be Florida at the end of it. Who knows? It's Rope hints you didn't have to get to it now. And bodies are just falling all over the place there with Tyler Seguin. Here emerges the Oilers. Quick shot. This one goes just wide as Bouchard. Now toward the right side, red line, Victory Green. Really need to probably take both of these games at home, or at least not split as we get an offsides.
You mentioned about the home split, perhaps winning one here for Edmonton, because Dallas is so good at home ice. In the last 17 games in the postseason at home, Jake Oettinger has only lost twice.
That says a lot. Again, we talked about Hellebuck and Oettinger a lot in the previous series, and Jake Oettinger now, you could argue, is the best goalie left standing, although Sergei Bobrovsky might have some words to say about that because he's a big game as they look at Peter DeBoer right now. You get this one just on the outside as Sam Steele. This one is one back again. Series winner, both minus, so that kind of tells you in the sense for the ESPN bet that this one's going to be very tight to the vest. Ilya Lyubushkin rattle this around the kick play now as this will be stopped by Mason Marchment. Again, the secondary goal scoring was what Dallas really needs because we don't expect that to be taken away from Edmonton. This will go up and on a play. We've got a lot of stoppages, not even a minute done.
Yeah, Ilya Lyubushkin once again in the lineup. I anticipate that it will be a 12 forward, 6 defenseman lineup. Peter DeBoer said let's go 7 defensemen one more time. That's the formula that worked against Winnipeg. And while there's no guarantee it's going to work against a team like Edmonton, Dallas needs some improvements defensively. It doesn't matter who it's going to come from.
And Alec, I agree with you. That might actually be the right call for Peter DeBoer, because you have to have depth and you have to have guys in the back line that can stay fresh, especially when you're dealing with an offense like Edmonton. So I think that might be the right call. But we'll see if they get behind in the series, whether or not they make that adjustment later, as this will be over the head of Jake Oettinger now toward the right side dot. Lindell will spin that around again. He's part of that Finnish mafia as this be sent back around the end boards. Draisaitl will watch. As this goes back to the point, another rolling puck gets shot wide. Leon sends it around the end boards. As this will be picked up here for Edmonton. Here's a turnaround chance for Kasperi Kapanen. Sent back around by Draisaitl and picked off by Dallas. But Dallas just trying to get out of their own, and they can't do so. Kapanen, excellent work. Holds the line. Here's a big save by Oettinger with the right pad, and the rebound was collected by the Dallas Stars, and they threw it down. Otherwise, it could have been a wide open net. 18:05 thereabouts left in the first round. And with you alongside Alec Nava. Again, it's my first look. I will be going back tomorrow as far as game 2 between Carolina and Florida, and I'm going to mix in some basketball on the side of it. We'll see. As this is standing behind the end boards now for Evander Kane. He tries to get a few stick chops as Dallas finally emerges with it. Jamie Benn, one of the ones that they need to score. This is too far for Dadonov, and Stuart Skinner will just hold.
And a homecoming for John Klingberg as he once again returns to his first team that he used to play for, Dallas. Last year, 2 years ago, he was on the Minnesota Wild playing against Dallas in that first round series. And here he is again playing on an opposing sweater, the number 36. And Jake Oettinger makes a quick early save off the long shot from Leon Draisaitl. He's got 5 goals this postseason, tied for the team lead of Corey Perry, who's still very good at the front of the net.
I will say this for John Klingberg, Alec. Again, it was a few years ago when I was thinking about his name in defense only. Yes, he plays defense, but the numbers weren't exactly good. But he's looked much better this second time around with Edmonton. As this goes back in behind the end boards now for Granlund. Mikko Rantanen. Now Dallas has him to work with this time to try to make this rematch different. As this will be stopped by Skinner with the left pad. Mikko put this off the bumper now. This will go back to Thomas Harley, and is one of the best. Dallas has a ton of first-line defensemen at their disposal because they have a ton of depth. And again, as we talk about Liam Bichsel moving forward, wouldn't surprise me if he gets the main center second line as Edmonton has iced it.
And one of those defensemen from Dallas that was on Edmonton last year was Cody Ceci. And he's now on the second pairing next to Lindell. They've meshed together nicely.
Yeah, so a lot of players that know each other well from both sides. Again, conference finals rematches since 1982. That's what they're showing on ESPN. That's one of those now. One from a couple of years ago was Florida and Carolina, but we're doing that again. So teams that know each other in the Final Four. As Heiskanen gets picked off, Evander Kane off a 1-on-3, and this one goes wide at the right side post by a ton. Tyler Seguin now trying to take this right to left, gets the pass back, has to dump it in. Mason Marchment off the chase, gets cut off. Evan Bouchard finishes his hit. And now Edmonton able to escape to the left side red line. Corey Perry, he's been on both sides and alongside with Dallas as well. He's usually always in the Stanley Cup finals. We're pretty darn close to it. Sam Steele gets his pass blocked by the referee, but this does get into Edmonton's zone and then across to Texas D. Get a chance to start again. Shots on goal are just 3-1 so far in favor of Dallas, and that is exactly what they need to do. Corey Perry in his 227 career playoff game is age 40, most active 7th all time. McDavid splits the 1-on-3. Oh my goodness, what a move! Saved by Oettinger. Picked up the other way, but that was a dipsy doodle through 3 stars. And I should never be surprised when it's McDavid, but that was effortless and disgusting. As this is sitting behind the end boards, we'll see if this was played with a stick.
And Jake Oettinger is shaking his head and saying, how does he do that? And we're continuing to ask ourselves, how does he do this? Well, simply put, he's Connor McDavid. Lindell, one of the best defensive defensemen on Dallas, gets dangled out and made like a fool. Zach Hyman can't put it in on the rebound, but this is the Connor McDavid that we are used to seeing. Almost tucks it right under Ottinger's armpit off Walker's side, but that's disgusting.
That toe drag's outrageous. He gets right through the right leg and then tries to lift it over the shoulder. And if not for Oettinger there, that would have easily been one of the goals of the playoffs right now is Connor McDavid gets set for an ozone draw. Again, second skater to win at Conn Smythe with a losing team. You know, he wants to get the reverse on this side. Connor McDavid, that's his only goal right now, is to try to win one. Not even just for Canada, but for his own namesake and everything else for Leon and all that too, because Connor is that good. You will look on the right wing side as this one gets slipped back around to Hyman. Low shot. This bounces off in front of Oettinger. It was a good first save. And back to Connor himself. Number 97, going to get things going. A little touch pass with Klingberg. This stays on side. Great pass again. Edmonton now really starting to turn on the firepower after that Connor McDavid dangle. As it's Heiskanen now with Wyatt Johnston trying to get this off the left side red line. Be sent back around to Dallas and they can escape out of their own end. Slowly off the backhand. Excellent work for Duchesne. Fights off his man. Here's the drop toward the right side off of Skinner's glove. And this works in behind the net. Connor McDavid with a clean poke. But this is just intercepted by CC. Robo shoots. I think he partially feigned on him. I'm surprised he couldn't get more. That's Lindell. This get catapulted into the right corner. Picked up now back in behind the inboards as Robo will work. This pass goes back to another stick chop broken up by Edmonton. Robertson trying to find it. And this will be deflected off some bodies. Good Dallas forecheck. You know, Edmonton finally able to escape. Hyman, the recipient of the cross pass. Low shot on net. This will be fought off by Oettinger with the left pad. Cody Cece's got to turn around, and Edmonton's going to be able to steal it toward the right side dot. Here's Leon working on his forehand. Here's a good pass right in the middle. An even better sticker for Dallas as they find the interception. This will be slammed in off the kick plate now as this action starting to pick up. Draisaitl, what a sauce pass. As Kapanen now tries to pick it up. Draisaitl gets pinned against the right side boards. Dallas still trying to escape with it as Podkolzin's making life difficult. And now toward the right side red line, Bouchard. Bouchard now holds it up the back bumper. Now that's where Draisaitl is in that same spot. As this will be lifted out of the zone for a moment. Bouchard just keeps it in. And now this will go back and alongside with Evan. It's Brett Kulak. Now we'll get a chance to pick it up. We will get a play with a high stick, I believe. That'll blow the play dead.
I don't know if it's icing or not, but Dallas, they had several chances right off to Stuart Skinner. The Oilers' defense does a good job clogging up the middle so as to not allow shots from getting in from that dirty area. Wyatt Johnston gets a shot up that went off of Skinner's glove, and then the rebound went off the pad. But outside that, the Oilers clogged up the middle, and that's the strategy that worked against Vegas that they're employing on Dallas now.
And that's the main thing. When these teams are at their best, Alec, you talk about the defensive side. When these teams are at their best, they can do both effortlessly. And that's why we're really looking forward to this series and seeing what's going to happen. I believe it's going to be a long one. 51 straight saves for Stuart Skinner coming off of back-to-back shutouts. Again, that talks about the type of goaltender he can be. Just be able to turn that switch on and off and focus on game to game. Skinner is one of the very best at that. As this is standing behind the inboards. Sam Steele now, that fourth line, able to do some work. Backhand play for Steele, who could have almost scored on that backhand if not for Skinner. Made a save with the right pad. He's been one of the better Dallas Stars on those backhand lines. Bishop can't hold the line. And Marchment throw it in. This will be sent back now. The shot board is finally dead even at 5-5 as we got 13 minutes exactly left to go on the first. Again, Liam Bishop, 6'7", 231, 21 years of age. He's like just getting his career started. I feel like he's going to be a mainstay for a long time. Granlund off the pick. It's Rope Hintz now from Granlund. Granlund working on his forehand. Here's a windmill drop from Lindell in the high slot. Double deflection. Couldn't get a stick on it. Was Mikko Rantanen. Otherwise, he could have left him in the left post. Here's a pass. And behind the net, give it go! This is Rope Hintz trying to get a stick on it. And we will get a hooking call against Edmonton.
Brett Kulak off to the box. That's not what the Oilers wanted. Another big key here that I would see here from the Oilers is to stay out of the box. This isn't last year's penalty kill where they were historically elite. This year's penalty kill has not been up to par, but they did manage to hold Vegas off the score sheet in back-to-back games to end off their second-round series. Dallas has the most power play goals out of any team that's left in the postseason, and against the team that's the highest scoring power play team in the playoffs, that's not really a recipe that you want.
No, I will say this. I know we'll agree on this point, Alec, that Edmonton really got messed up in those first couple games, especially in that first round. for the LA Kings. That's why their numbers look so bad. It's not as ghastly as it seems, but you're absolutely right. They're not riding up 26, 27 straight. But for Kulak, you never really want to take a penalty. But when Mikko Rantanen is Mikael Granlund in from 4 feet, he's probably got to get a hook in there, and he's going to go to the box.
Yeah, he will. That's gonna put Edmonton down one of their most important defenders.
So we'll take a look here, admittedly, toward the NBA scoreboard as well. Let me duplicate this side of my windows. But I think the Knicks now have a 2-point lead of 36-34 as they get set to end the first. Again, we're going to be starting here in the Garden. And when I look at some of these numbers, Miles Turner with 11, which is always 45 for 5 for Indiana, leading scorer there. And for the Knicks, good balance scoring all the way across. Jalen Brunson with 9, but both Cat and Bridges already have 8 on efficient shooting.
You know, when there's a high-scoring game like this one right out the gates of the conference final, I would imagine advantage Pacers already. The Pacers, they thrive on a fast offense, and that's their go-to style of play. You know, when we look back to last year, this isn't really a team that's band together star players, but rather a team that's full with outcasts and misfits from other teams that are playing like they have a chip on their shoulder. And that's what I love to see from them.
For Rick Carlisle, again, he's been around for a long time in between with the Pacers, Pistons, Mavericks, now back with the Pacers. I didn't envision this team to already be this good underneath him. I just knew they wanted to get that veteran leadership, but all credit to the Pacers. Here's opportunity short-handed for RNH. And this one's fought off by Oettinger with the blocker. As Rope Hintz will push across the logo. Now for Matt Duchene, he's really got to find the score sheet and most of the host of the stars we talked about. But Matt Duchene, still one of the very best secondary players. Now, I wouldn't say top line anymore, but you could still do that in a pinch. And they need his scoring. Wyatt Johnston, this will be sent out for Hintz. Picked up for Rantanen. He completely fans on it. He was wide open near the right side dot. Edmonton will be smart and skate this one down and then clear it as Jake Oettinger slows it. This is a full sail change here. Miro Heiskanen now going to get things going. It's going to make Dallas so much better getting him back on their power play quarterback pass way too hard for Mason Marchment. As this is sent him behind the end boards, picked off from Skinner's pass. Here's Robo back in behind the end boards now for Miro. Opportunity for Granlund, good space to shoot. He does not. He does too much stick drags. And now an opportunity here for Zach Hyman. We'll go ahead and just chip this off the glass. Excellent work for Edmonton's penalty kill. And if they can do anything close to what they did last year, Dallas not going to feel very good about it because Edmonton was in shutdown mode when they played in this series. Sent back now and off the flip, off the glass, beautifully done. As it gets sent back down for Edmonton, Jake Oettinger will slow it. There's been nothing doing so far here for the Stars in the first power play off the hook. This will be sent the other way now for Thomas Harley. Jamie Benn skates out of the zone. And this will go back to Miro as they look to set up again. Number 14, the captaincy, Jamie Benn. Working with a natural lead for Harley. This is picked off again. Another opportunity. It's a 2-on-1. Cross pass does not hit. But Dallas is looking a little discombobulated. That's to say the least. Rope Hintz. Now in the final seconds off the drop. Return to full strength now to Jimmy Benn. Right to Rantanen. Plays it out of the air off the side of the net. This was saved by Skinner. Had to turn around and find it before he banked it in himself off of Rantanen, but we're still alive. 10:20 left to go. That was awfully close. No shot attempts on that power play. Even some spell check on sideline graphic. My goodness. As this is sent the other way here for Edmonton. They'll get to start again alongside with Kulak. Draisaitl will look on the right side wing if that pass goes to him from 50. Good pass reception. As this will be dropped now alongside for Kapanen. Use the wall. Sending him behind the end boards off the embankment. Good passing here. McDavid with a blind back look alongside for Draisaitl. Crisscross. Draisaitl just holds the high slot line. McDavid with a half spin. He gets taken down partially. Sent back here for Darnell Nurse. Back to Leon. He walks in, shoots. He sniped it, Alec. My goodness, I had to wait another beat on top left corner. That was wonderful puck movement from Edmonton.
We talk about how good Edmonton is so far. They did a great job killing off that penalty. They forced Dallas to not even take a single shot attempt. And the Stars, they were all discombobulated all power play long. Stuart Skinner had to make a desperation save out of midair to prevent that from going inside. That could have easily been 1-0 Dallas by now. But instead, it was a scoreless game up until Leon Draisaitl, who moves around the Dallas defense off the give and go from Darnell Nurse. And around Wyatt Johnston, who is now a -14 after that goal, Draisaitl picks the far side, the only area which Oettinger did not have protected, and that's a 6th goal of the postseason. First in the last 4 games for him.
I gotta imagine, Alec, it was too busy in the goal crease in that screen, and alongside with Cody Ceci, Jake Oettinger not able to get over. Draisaitl smartly keeps his head up the whole time and just snipes an open area of the net that you knew he was going to get.
Yeah, he knew that. He knew that was the open area of the ice, and he picked that far side. That's a smart shot. Make sure you go to the areas in which the goaltender does not have protected, and Draisaitl made sure of that.
Zach Hyman doing battle with Cody Ceci and the former teammates. And as Alec mentioned, we got another beautiful camera shot of that. Nothing Jake Oettinger is going to be able to do. I don't want to say worries here through the halfway of the first, but as we go to break, Dallas Stars, you mentioned, all sorts of discombobulated there on the power play especially, and there's no question in my mind that goal directly comes from the penalty kill. That was tremendous.
Yeah, that penalty kill was, you cannot describe it any better. They've improved over the last few games, and it doesn't matter if they were playing at home or on the road. Yes, those penalty killing numbers say one thing, and even for the 57.1% penalty kill rate on the road. But you gotta admit, as soon as Game 4 turned on, you just knew the Oilers were about to go on a different level at that point. And here they are, on a different level. And that penalty, you know what that penalty kill reminded me of? The penalty kill from last year.
It did. I was thinking the same thing as we're calling that and looking through the game, Alec. I agree with you completely. And really, we can say this because even Florida had some struggles. They had to go all the way to 7 and alongside with the Leafs. But Edmonton, I know the first couple of games, but after that, they just blew the doors off of the LA Kings. And whether or not Vegas, we know as well as anyone, they've dealt with some injuries, but Edmonton's made this playoff run so far look rather simple.
They did. It's scary that they're just getting better every passing game. The whole lineup is meshing together nicely, and they're all having chemistry with one another. Trent Frederick looks like a clear-cut Warren Fogle replacement as well.
Yeah, because when you think about some of that, as you mentioned, and alongside Broberg and Fogle, they've lost some really good pieces on the back end D and the forward side, and as you mentioned, they've been replaced nicely. Connor Brown continues to play very, very well throughout these playoffs, who has just as much speed. I know not all the hand movement, but you can tell from one of the breakaway goals. Can't take that away from Connor Brown because he did do that earlier in the playoff series, but he's got a ton of speed. They have a lot of talent. And then you make that move, you get Jake Bowman. You're still playing without Matthias Ekholm. Corey Perry's getting his resurgence. When Edmonton's got all these weapons, they're absolutely scary because you already know what they can do. But now they're good on defense as well over the last couple of years. Bouchard, as this goes into the right side for Podkolzin. Sent back now the other way. Podkolzin's been one of those guys primarily more so shut down, but Edmonton's already got a ton of weapons all the way across the board. That's the Lindell's pass. This will be to Stuart Skinner. He has some trouble with it in behind the net. This will give Dallas some possession. Try to get a centering feed. We will get a whistle as this goes back to his glove. Crisis averted.
Stuart Skinner, I don't know where he was trying to pass in the sequence, but he bails himself out of a crisis as he got it off right on time, but inadvertently gives it away to Sam Steele. The Oiler defense also helped out as well as they boxed out all of Dallas's options at the net front. They emphasized clogging up the middle of the slot, and they did so again.
Yeah, they did. Now, like as you mentioned, Stuart Skinner gets us off the long clear from 150. He just throws it right straight off the backboards, right to Steele. And this will be a D-zone draw, but Edmonton able to win it. Again, Edmonton's pretty good in the circle. Dallas is usually second. Toronto is first. So I'll have to watch that one and see who starts with puck possession. Another great pass. Podkolzin has to turn around and shoot there alongside Klingberg. And this one gets deflected and coughed right up by Dallas. Vanla doesn't want to do that. They say it's just on sides. And now we will get a whistle at 8:31.
Kasperi Kapanen, who replaced Victor Arvidsson in the lineup at Game 4 of the Vegas series, has meshed in nicely after he was waived by St. Louis earlier in the year. He's now on the second line, and he's a former star John Klingberg up for a shooting lane that was wide open, and he could have picked the top corners.
They just showed the graphic, and alongside Mario Lemieux, Sidney Crosby's one of the best goal scorers we have in the playoff side. 1.58, 1.46 respectively for Draisaitl and McDavid. Again, they're always playoff performers. We've known that for a long time, but to see that and alongside with Mario Lemieux, that's just absolutely ridiculous. One-timer for Hyman. I thought he might have scored, but Oettinger might have hit him in the face. As this is sent the other way now, Rope Hintz finally able to get this out. And alongside for Matt Duchene, he lost it in between his skate blades and gets taken down. Edmonton's right there, closes it off. 3-on-2 developing, but as we brush to the right side corner, Thomas Harley spin and turn again, one of the very best D-men that we have in the league. And that's no disrespect to Miro Heiskanen, but Harley's played that well. This is standing behind the inboards now for Kulak. Drop for RNH. Is in his own end toward the right side red line. Shot board is 6-6. And his opening goal for Leon Draisaitl, that's the only one we got right now. Trailed first in 11 of 14 games to Dallas. And again, still able to win the series against Colorado and Winnipeg, but I don't think they can do that continually against Edmonton. That was a pretty good shot for Jamie Benn, but Stuart Skinner made that look easy.
Yeah, glove saved, no screen in front for Jamie Benn, and you could say that he can fit anywhere in that lineup. Yeah, Zach Hyman, he might have banked off the inside of the crossbar and stayed out. I don't know how that was not in the net, but that was the closest the Oilers had to going up 2-0. And when you have a track meet style of game, the advantage would easily go to Edmonton.
Yeah, exactly. And again, you're right, point blank with Hyman. I started the top of the bar and bounced out toward the bottom left. Otherwise, that would have easily been a goal. Heiskanen bomb. This one bounces toward the right side boards. I thought we were going to blow play dead. Now we will. Jimmy Benn got to hold it for a minute, but we get to stop at 7:25.
I think both sides looked at this puck, said, is that out of play? And the officials said they determined it to be out of play. So that is the ruling.
We got to take another look at it. We get a camera shot of Stuart Skinner. I know good games, bad games aside for Stuart Skinner, but when you look at his face and everything else, you got to do this face off again. He just looks unbothered.
Yeah. After starting 0-3 this postseason with 15 goals allowed, he has not allowed a single goal since in the 140 minutes he's played and counting.
Excellent work, even for someone like Stuart Skinner anywhere. You can get any of that type of goaltending. That's why Edmonton can be as dangerous as they are. And Stuart Skinner, he's been there, he's done that. But everything for him or against him, you have to say it that way. This is just sent behind the left side inboards. This will be Oscar Beck with rimming around. The opportunity now off the top is Henrique. Jamie Benn still figuring out where to go with it. Harley wide open to shoot. And this one hits the stick and goes up and on a play.
Closed off on the shots. The shot hit the stick right in front. We speak of the Oilers' defense getting in the Stars' faces. Once again, that was the case as Harley's shooting lane instantaneously was closed off.
You got to do that. We mentioned alongside with Dallas and Winnipeg in the previous series that both of them were capable. They had elite goaltending, able to play defense with speed. You can also put Edmonton in that same category, but their counterattack, and alongside with McDavid and Draisaitl, 5 of 6 goals on the road this postseason for Leon. And honestly, that's exactly what you would want. Just dictate the pace with your Stars on the road. That kind of helps everybody settle down. Sent back in behind the inboards now, as this is Duchene off the wraparound spin. And this will be picked up off of one touch. Thomas Harley steps up, gets the steal toward the opposite side of the blow line. Here's Miro for the pass, way too hard for Wyatt Johnston. He's sent back now alongside for Kapanen. Good move there. Shot board is 8-6. 6:25 left to go on the first. Draisaitl, the only goal. Sent back in behind the inboards now as the pass got deflected. It's Leon Draisaitl now for Bouchard. This will be picked up by the Victory Green. Able to get this off for a moment. Edmonton intercepts. The Peter DeBoer squad in the middle of some changes. Don't want to get caught napping on these changes like we saw for Florida in those previous games against Toronto, because Edmonton can absolutely bite you there. Sam Steele. Try to find this in the right side boards. Refs just got to get out of the way here as Eston Lundell try to get it across the left side red line. Opportunity now for Mason Marchment with the start again from right to left. Sam Steele goes for the chip and chase. Try to cut off with Bouchard. Now Edmonton will get this out from 150. This will be raced the other way to Jake Oettinger, who's going to have to hold because McDavid's right there.
Yeah, McDavid, he when he's right at the front of the net, you have to make the smart decision and hold on to the puck because whenever you give up a loose rebound, nope, there's going to be no chance you're going to see any light of day.
We are going to have 8 Eastern starts, Alec, but Game 3 on Sunday for Dallas and Oilers. That's a matinee day game, so 2 Central for you, 3 Eastern for me. So keep in mind that the Sunday game is going to take away from mostly what will be 8:15 starts. Because this will be sent the other way now for McDavid. Wraparound attempt. Oettinger shuts the door with the right pad. Stetcher. Here's a long pass from right to left. Deflected at the net. Big rebound. McDavid can't put it away. Here's a good spot to shoot. Stetcher doesn't take it. That might give Dallas an opportunity to recover here. Sent back now for McDavid. Here's a pirouette. Works his way. High slot one-timer. That one's fought off. That was Stetcher that got denied with the left pad. Edmonton really looking good in this first period to me. This is picked back now for Darnell Nurse. High slot now. Another shot at the net. This one fought off by Oettinger with the stick. He gets to pick it up now. And zone time finally dispossessed at 45 seconds. And this will be iced against Dallas.
Edmonton's buzzing. Dallas has been trapped to their own zone for 45 seconds. And another grade A opportunity for Edmonton to take a 2-0 lead as Ryan Nugent-Hopkins gets denied in tight right off the left pad of Jake Oettinger. And then you have Troy Stetcher who was denied one-timer. I think Oettinger may have thrown away his goal stick in the process.
Looked like he was trying to do a little hard on the Globetrotters to hold on to it behind his hands, but there was too much going on. He had to let it go. Here is another face-off one in the offensive zone. Klingberg will send this one around the inboards. Draisaitl trying to hold, and we got a breakaway opportunity. Seguin scores!
We were waiting for the breakout game from Tyler Seguin. If this is the goal that gets the party started for Dallas, this could be it. Neither team has really done well in the first 2 periods of play, and it's important that Dallas ties this one up early because in the third period, that's where Edmonton can dominate. And Seguin, who gets the go-ahead goal off the breakaway. Great job by the Stars to survive that much zone time off the Ryan Nugent-Hopkins and Troy Stetcher chances. Seguin sneaks it by the glove of Skinner. That breaks the shutout bid for Skinner.
He gets around Draisaitl with a stick tap, blows by Klingberg, see you later, and then gets it past Stuart Skinner there. What an individual effort from the former Stanley Cup champion of the Boston Bruins.
That is one of the best individual efforts that we've seen on the breakout. No defenseman right in front of him.
Third goal of the playoffs, first in the last 11 games. Alec and I have punched that button all pregame. Not out of necessity, we have to, because Dallas really needs that. Seguin's one of their heavy hitters. Here's an opportunity off of a sauce pass. Henrique, this one will be sent back down in the corner on a play. We'll get a stoppage at 4:11.
There seemed to be a miscommunication afterwards on the third line side. Henrique was anticipating his man to go to the front of the net. That's why he made the pass, but nobody was there at the slot. That's because that was attributed to the miscommunication between the two Oilers forwards.
What a short side shot low for Tyler Seguin as we go to break. He made that look easy. Again, you talk about all of the guys in Dallas. You mentioned it. Matt Duchene, Jason Robertson, Wyatt Johnson, Tyler Seguin, Alec. These are not small names. These are names, if we're being completely honest with ourselves, that average over the last few years somewhere between 65 and 80 points. Dallas has a lot of firepower. We just hadn't seen that a lot through the first 2 rounds.
No, we haven't. And we wondered when that firepower is going to show up. Finally, it is Seguin. We need more discs from the depth. The likes of him, Duchene, Ben, and even Robertson has just 1 assist in the games since he returned to action. Miro Heiskanen in the 3 games since he returned, he has 2 assists.
I'm not going to ask you to pick a series before we even play 1 game, but I do want to ask this question because it's in the back of my mind. Now, we've watched a lot of the Dallas Stars over the years, and thankfully so, because they've been a really good playoff team. They've been fun to watch. But for Dallas, Game ones are not their forte. But I will tell you this. This is my thought process. At least you tell me if you agree. I think the Dallas Stars really need to open up this series with a win.
Yeah, they need to. Before the Winnipeg series, Dallas lost 8 consecutive game ones. A lot of those have came in overtime as well. The game one loss against Colorado, that was a blowout. But here, I feel they need to open it up with a win against, you could say, arguably the second best team in the Western Conference, at least on paper, right, among those remaining left.
I would agree with you. We could flip-flop Edmonton and Dallas, and I don't think either of us would be wrong. I think we're both thinking the same thing. Because it's just, I trust Edmonton more to play from behind in a series, especially in that third period from the numbers that we gave you. I don't really sweat Edmonton anymore because from what we saw last year, I think this team's better. If you put them down a couple of games, I don't think you necessarily put Edmonton away. They're that good.
Yeah. I mean, the only team that you could really worry about is Florida, unless Carolina does the unthinkable and upsets them in best of 7.
We're going to talk about that more in about 4 minutes and 11 seconds as we send back around, because I got to get your thoughts from that game one. I'll share mine from afar as well, and I don't want it to be a death sentence to Carolina, but we will definitely get into that. This will be sent back now for Kasperi Kapanen, and this bounces off Connor Brown. That hit was up high. He took out Bishop. And now Evander Kane, he'd be one of those other guys that Edmonton would like to see get going as well. But they've already had a ton of secondary goal scoring. That's just another weapon that they know that they have, who can do a little bit of everything. And I wouldn't be surprised if Evander Kane and Jamie Benn throw some bows if it gets to a certain point in the series. As it's now back around for Granlund. This will be tied up now and sent back in behind the handboards. It did not find Harley, and Edmonton's got numbers if they can get this pass. Henrique's got to check back up, and this will go to the victory green. So one goalie for Tyler Seguin. That was the latest. Sweet move, Harley. As he gets canceled off the left side boards, giving it to Jamie Benn, trying to drop for Thomas, and this will be picked off. Opportunity one more time for Leon Draisaitl. Always got to watch 29 and 97, whether they're together or apart. Toward the right side, an easy save from the left post, close the 5-hole to Jake.
Draisaitl had a shooting lane from the right circle. He decided to pass this one. He decided not to go around Tyler Seguin, and instead he opted for the pass towards the middle, and instead that set up the cycle play for Jake Wallman from the left circle.
You're absolutely right about that. You don't want to get caught flat-footed because we've seen the next sequence of the replay from the goal we just talked about. First breakaway goal since November 11th. He was 0 for 3. Sometimes you have to take what's available to you because if you hold on the puck too long, that previous sequence we just saw, that's what can happen to you if you hold on to it too long.
Yeah, that sometimes that happens, and you could get burnt.
Wyatt Johnston, D-zone draw. This is very important. He's going to have to do so against Connor McDavid, but not if they brush him out. RNH is still a good face-off man because whether or not they use him as a winger, out of necessity, or a center, you have really the depth of Draisaitl, McDavid, and RNH's 1-2-3 center if you want to do so. Nobody's got that type of depth that they do. As it's sent behind the inboards now, this is tipped wide toward the left side red line and off the tie-up. Now Edmonton, excellent work, good hit. And the right side boards cleans out to Shane. As Wallman gets it at the point, but they can't hold. John Klingberg got to make the smart play right around the inboards. His first period should already be over, but there's been so many stoppages as far as icings and pucks out of play, so we got 2:35 left. Here's Duchesne. This time a little bit easier. He gets him through just a door that was barely even open. Gets around, and Robo back for Duchesne. Duchesne goes for the pass. This one's cut off, bounces off a stick. Somebody lost their lumber. I think that was one of the Edmonton Oilers. Picked up now for Corey Perry spinning through, and he's been on both sides of this matchup. This will be flipped back here for Janmark. Takes a bunch of hits, taken out of the zone. Now RNH 2:05 left to go in the first round here with you alongside Alec Nava. Pair of goals, both pretty special. Leon Draisaitl and Tyler Seguin. His last one on a break and a lift from the left side for Leon Draisaitl. Just a gorgeous shot off the screen that was surprised by Cody Ceci in the mix as this one's flipped back down the inboards. This is loose for the left side dot, and now Sam Steele able to get this down. Steele, I think, is one of the most dependable fourth liners that we have in the NHL. I wouldn't say let alone flops. He's played very well for the Stars. There's just sit back around for 55. That's Harley. Other way now for Mason Marchman toward the left side. Red line gets cut off and able to get the steal now. Darnell Nurse try to get this one from right to left again. Edmonton and the road whites in the mix of the blue and orange striping. Victory green is Dallas. Harley dispossessed again. He got pinched in deep. And now Draisaitl. It's a wide open drop pass. This Podkolzin sets it up 1T. This one hits the high end glass. Draisaitl throws it right out front. And now Dallas trying to push the other way off a 3-on-3. Finnish Mafia, Granlund, Rantanen, throw it in. Draisaitl takes a hit, makes a play, does so easily. Dallas trying to throw some hits. Not normally a very physical team, but they want to match Edmonton in this series. Kasperi Kapanen slows up at the line, and now Edmonton are going to have to check up. It didn't go all the way through. So Oettinger now leaves it back to his defense. Here for Peter DeBoer's squad. A lot of good forechecking here for Edmonton. It forces a 3-on-1. Try to throw it across for Henrique. Really should have shot it there. Fortunate to look for the pass to get knocked out of play.
What Edmonton tried to do is go under the stick of Esa Lindell, but Lindell stayed with the play, and he shut off the passing lane to prevent Oettinger from getting scored on, because he had Oettinger, if that pass was made all the way across, that net is wide open. Oettinger will have no chance to stop that, so it's good that Lindell made the play to break that pass up.
Heads up defense, as you said, Alec, probably the play of the game. I'll say it is at this point. And for Dallas, don't want to give up a late goal at the end of the period. Usually that final minute, that's always a no-no, but especially against a team like this, as this will be recollected here. Here's another face-off one, and this one goes just wide up the glove. If the stick hit the netting, we'll do it again.
Evander came with a high shot all the way from the point. Usually forwards don't go all the way back towards the point for those types of shots, but Kane tried it and tested his luck.
A lot of velocity on that last shot. Again, we look at number 91. Faceoffs are 13-9 for Edmonton. That's not where they're supposed to have the advantage right now. Again, for the depth of center, not always faceoff wins is not the specialty for Edmonton. But again, the defense of faceoffs on the side for RNH, Draisaitl and McDavid is elite. That's depth that no one else has. 15 seconds left to go in the first. Oscar Beck was the lone forechecker, and this will be toward the left side red one. This will be flipped back in. As Lindell can keep his head up, but I don't think it's going to be enough time for Dallas unless they take a long flip down to 2. That ends the first. Draisaitl and Seguin, those are your goal scorers. It's 1-1 after 1.
And Seguin was the only goal scorer of last year's opening game between Dallas and Edmonton in the conference finals. The one that McDavid had the double overtime winner just 32 seconds into that match. We covered that one. But nonetheless, this is not a game in which Edmonton is the worst third period team. It's a game in which they are the better third period team. They are clutch this year, and the both of us can safely say we trust the Oilers to score more in the third period now and overtime.
Yeah, I do. I think if it gets to the point, Alec, where we get a one-goal game, let's say Dallas is even up by 1. I don't think that's enough by the time we get into the third period. I would say Edmonton can flat out win. We said they were 3-2, even when behind in the third period, and they outscore in the third period their opponents by almost 12 from the pregame numbers that they gave to you. So 11-10 on the shot board for Edmonton. 11-9 hits. You're not going to see everything overly physical, but now they just moved it to 10. So just one shot difference, one hit difference. Faceoffs 13-10. Just the one power play opportunity for the Stars, but you might as well not even count that as a power play. That was atrocious. Block shots are 8-4 for Dallas. Everything else is pretty marginal at this point. Pretty even first period all told.
Yeah, pretty even between both teams. The Oilers and Stars showed their might in that first period. At Dallas, they still sit at that -4 goal differential as they're both tied at 1 goal apiece. But still, Edmonton showed themselves as the better team in this opening frame.
So let me ask you this. I know you covered the game yesterday, and I don't want to reopen any wounds, but give me your thoughts in between what you saw for game number 1 between the Panthers and the Kings.
You know how teams say that When they tried to play Carolina, Carolina would force them to play their style of hockey, and that would work in the advantage to the Hurricanes. The same can be said for the Florida Panthers. They force other teams to play their style of hockey, and it walks other teams right into a trap. That was that game. The Florida Panthers, they were not fazed by the lack of rest, even for them flying straight from Toronto to Raleigh after their Game 7. Carolina looked slow out the gates. We talk of how well rested they are. Well, they were rested all right, but if you don't prepare for the possibilities, you could get rusty. And Carolina was rusty out the gates. The only goal that scored when it mattered was a wacky goal which Sebastian Aho sort of had it bounce off his skate. I don't know if that was a kicking motion or not. I don't think that was a kicking motion, even for soccer players saying that is a kicking motion in soccer, but that's for another discussion about soccer and all of that. But simply put, 5-on-5, advantage Florida. Power play, Carolina before the series gave up just 2 power play goals in the first 2 rounds. Florida scored twice on the power play. Thing is though, our style of play does not rely on physicality a lot. And for that matter of fact, I'm not going to overreact. There is an element of physicality to Carolina's game, but it's not overly physical like Florida's. The hits are a battle which we're not going to win. Teams have said they've struggled when we make them play the way we play. The same is true when we play Florida, when Florida forces other teams to play the way they play. And I think we just walked right into the trap. And also this game just emphasizes how desperately we need Jalen Chatfield onto the lineup. Because Scott Morrow had one of the worst playoff debuts that I've ever seen from the Carolina Hurricanes. Alexander Nikishin was not perfect, but he was okay in sheltered minutes. But against Florida, you need to be on your A game. And Chatfield is questionable for Game 2. We need him back on the lineup ASAP.
I want to mention this alongside the hits because I agree with your point, but I was very surprised about what I'm looking on the stats because you're absolutely right. But Carolina threw 50 hits and Florida threw 47, 97 hits. I don't think Carolina wants to get into that type of game with the Panthers. It speaks to your point about them playing into their hands. But you're right. I saw that alongside Morrow. And you get a couple odd man breaks the other way. There's nothing Freddie Anderson's going to be able to do. Again, balanced scoring across the board for the Cats. Lusterinen, Bennett, Greer, Ekblad, Carter Verhaeghe finally gets on the score sheet again for his 5th. Seems like it's been a while for him. Hit the net, scored a beautiful one there. But Morrow was one of those ones that got burned on that 2-on-1 that Freddie Anderson was not able to stop. You're exactly right there. I'm not going to overreact in one game for Freddie Anderson, but it was 15 of 20. I have to say, and I normally wouldn't like to say this after 2 games, and I talk about the reverse splits. Maybe Carolina can do something when they go into the Panthers' den, but Carolina's got to win Game 2. If only for the fact you don't want to continue that streak of where if they lose again, it would be 14 straight in the ECF.
Nobody wants to imagine such a losing streak. 13 straight losses in the ECF is a fate that is completely unimaginable by any regard. The last time Carolina won a conference finals game, it was in the cup-winning year, 2006 against the Buffalo Sabres, who, by the way, they've only won 1 Game 7 of the franchise history, 1997 against the Ottawa Senators. And for such a losing streak, you couldn't imagine that. We'll take the 2009 series as a separate thing because that was a different core with a different team and a different coach. Ironically, that was Paul Maurice who coached that Hurricanes team in his second stint with the Canes. But that Canes team was led by Eric Stahl and Rod Brind'Amour. This is a Canes team led by Sebastian Aho, Seth Jarvis, and Andrei Svechnikov on the forecourt, Jacob Slavin on the defensive core. So these are 2 different Carolina eras that we are speaking of.
Yes, it is. And I was thinking about this in the back of my mind, and maybe all the fuzzy numbers and everything else doesn't back up what I'm about to say. But if the Panthers, and again, I'm spitballing way ahead into June, but if the Panthers end up lifting the cup and they go to the finals 3 years in a row and win twice, kind of like the Lightning did, but in the reverse, the Avalanche won in 2022, I'm almost ready to put Paul Maurice just behind Scotty Bowman, and Joel Quenneville.
What about John Cooper?
John Cooper is going to be in that same category, Alec. And I don't want to say that I'm going to put him ahead of John Cooper, but I almost feel like I should.
Probably. Yeah, Paul Maurice, he's been in the game for a long, long time. We talk of John Cooper and his accolades with Team Canada and the Four Nations face-off. He's going to be the head coach of Canada again in the Olympics next year. But Paul Maurice, he knows the game oh so well. A Stanley Cup Finals appearance with the Hurricanes in 2002. That was his first experience there. This was a Hurricanes team that people did not see going to the Stanley Cup Final. They won the division, which got them the third seed in the East. Because remember, at that time it was the 1-8 format, and division winners automatically take the top 3 seed in the conference at that point. And we wonder, what now for Paul Maurice? Yeah, I believe now that if he wins again, he should be a Hall of Famer when it's all said and done.
So that was just some of the thought process. I'm glad they're pretty close. I will grant you John Cooper, because I did not forget about that. I'm just thinking in the recent interim, he comes over from Florida, and we talk about this because Carolina's already well established alongside with Rod Brandamore. Yes, I know, getting to the Eastern Conference Finals, they want more than that. But granted, I'm thinking this too. The Panthers might be one of the best teams that we've had in recent NHL history. You could look back at some of the best teams that we've seen. Maybe not the most heavy star power when you think about, Jaromir Jagr, Mario Lemieux, Sidney Crosby, Malkin Letang, all of that. But the Panthers in their system and everything else that they do, I feel like they can take lines 1 through 4 and absolutely just buzzsaw you. They just wear you down.
That's scary. When we thought about when they dismantled the Lightning, we all thought, yep, that's it. They're gonna win it again, aren't they? That's how scary they are. Because when they dismantled an elite Lightning team, that is a scary thought with how they are balanced up and down the lineup. You take their Stanley Cup last year, and then you take this year's roster, they might arguably be better than last year's team. That's how scary it is. Even scarier is the fact that Matthew Tkachuk didn't even score a goal in the Toronto series.
Right, and you think about it a couple of years ago, I don't want to give Florida a whole bunch of flowers already, but we saw that a couple of years ago against Vegas. They have that run. I mean, they sustained all of their injuries down against the Boston Bruins. Brad Marchand had all those chances to finish it, but the Bruins couldn't do it. Panthers go on their miracle run. I mean, the Panthers were lucky, Alec, if they had 7 or 8 healthy bodies and they made the Stanley Cup Finals. If that was a completely healthy team against Vegas a couple of years ago, yes, I know they got their first cup. We could be talking about the Panthers maybe going for 3 in a row.
That's potentially scary. And if they really had a fully healthy roster by this point, we'd see them with more points in the standings than just 92 points that year. Right. If you flip up the Panthers and the Flames in the conference, the Flames would be the last seed in the Eastern Conference in that year. But now we look at the Panthers. That was a team that was out of a playoff spot with 11 days to go in the regular season. All that they needed was to have a winning run and have the Penguins somehow go on a losing run on the way down. The Penguins, they were flip-flopping between wins and losses in that year. The Panthers, they not only won the winning run, but they got some help from the Chicago Blackhawks of all teams. A Blackhawks team that was spending the final days of the Jonathan Toews tenure, by the way.
Yeah, I don't want to bring up those awful memories in the mix of it as well for as far as the teams that they've taken out. I'm still waiting for playoff success for my own team. At least you've had more of that lately than I've had, Alec, but I'm still waiting for the Red Wings to get better. We're still waiting for Pittsburgh to get back into their own sort of runs, but we were just telling you about the Panthers in that way because that's how good that they've been. And on the other side for the West, I mean, the Edmonton Oilers almost make the historical run of all time. They get to a Game 7. We covered all of those. That was a heck of a lot of fun, something I never saw coming considering from where they are. And yet, as you mentioned with the Panthers, they could have the most depth and feel pretty good. You add in Seth Jones and a couple other pieces there. You get that depth. This Oilers team is probably the best team that they've had in recent years. If Carolina does not win this series, I think I have to say on the outstretch, I'll have my prediction be damned. I think I want to see the Panthers and the Oilers again.
I think this is what we're looking towards. I'm readying myself up for a potential rematch of the Stanley Cup final from last year. And it speaks to me that I know for a fact that Carolina, we might not win this series. But I'm hoping for it to be pushed to 6, maybe 7 games. That's all I ask of the Hurricanes. Because I don't know if we're ever going to beat the Panthers in this series. Which is why I say this is why Toronto need to win that Game 7. Because we wouldn't be having the discussion now because this is what... Yeah, that's why Toronto need to win that Game 7. Because had they did that, we wouldn't be in the discussion that we're having right now.
Alec, I agree with you, and I'll say this from right. I'm not even saying it as a best friend or anything else like that. I agree. I think if Toronto advances... They could say yes. We could have the Canadian narratives for the Maple Leafs to the Edmonton Oilers, and that's written in stone. I don't think so. If the Canes ended up playing the Leafs, I think the Canes would have went to the Cup final.
Yeah, Leafs-Canes would have been my dream Eastern Conference final had Toronto won that. But alas, I still thought the Canes would have went to the Stanley Cup final had we faced the Leafs, but it was going to be tighter than many people would have thought it to be. I don't believe that we were going to just lie down to die. Nobody would just lie down to die in any series, by the way. It was going to be a lighter challenge, but it's still as tough a challenge, not to the extent that Florida provides. Because Florida, they're much better now than they were 2 years ago when they swept us, even if the series didn't look like a sweep.
Yeah, because they're all one-goal games. It was excruciating all the way across the board. We'll see what ends up happening now, but see if Carolina gets that win tomorrow. They're really going to need it. I'm going to go ahead and look on the other side of the NBA board. We got about another 4.5 minutes or so before Alec takes over. Jalen Brunson leads all scorers here. He's got 18 for the Knicks, as they sit with a 69-62 lead at the half. Again, all of those points for Miles Turner. That was all from the first. Halliburton now with 14 on 6 of 11, 2 of 6 from three-point. Has not gotten on the line just yet. And look on the bench scoring for the Knicks. Not much of it. You got 6 from Cam Payne, but Karl Anthony Towns does have 15. He's had a great game so far. 5 of 7, 3 of 3 from deep, and 2 of 2 at the line.
If you like free-flowing offense, this is your go-to series in the Eastern Conference Final. You want to have superstar showdowns and stars who can show up in the clutch. Between Jalen Brunson and Tyrese Halliburton, this is your series. If you really love this style of play that both teams provide, oh yeah, turn it on right now in the Eastern Conference Final. Of course, the Knicks have a top-heavy lineup between Brunson, Towns, OG Anunoby, Mikal Bridges, and Josh Hart. But the offseason acquisitions that they made last summer, they're finally paying off here. Towns and Bridges, who they got to beat the Celtics, and finally did so. They were 0-10 against top 3 teams in the NBA before the playoffs. But what a time to finally get your first wins against top 3 teams in the NBA this year. To have these two show out in big ways. Defense has been a vast improvement. And while Tom Thibodeau does have a tendency to go top heavy at times, it's not been a problem when he is relying on his top guys. Against the Pacers, they can wear the Knicks down, potentially, if this series goes deeper onwards. Because the Pacers, they have a deep bench, plus a starting 5 that all have chemistry with one another. It's amazing that this starting 5 has 2 stars on their team between Halliburton and Pascal Siakam, and nobody in them is averaging over 20 points per game. But in fact, they're all averaging over 14 points per game between Hallie, Siakam, Miles Turner, Aaron Nesmith, and Andrew Nembhard. And the bench, they could chime in nicely too as well. Benedict Mathurin, TJ McConnell, and even Obi Toppin's flashy dunks. And you also have Jarris Walker waiting there in any case, and Ben Shepherd.
Yeah, it's a really good offensive team. Again, you bring in Carlisle for the defensive side to get that structured, and then, oh, by the way, they're the best offense in the NBA. And I'll say this, as far as Knicks fans, I have to deliver a humble apology because I did not pick you to win that series against the Pistons, not just because it was my own team. I thought the Pistons might get the upset. And I don't care what happened with the Celtics and the injury to Tatum. Yes, I know that changes things in the series. But I didn't even pick the Knicks to win the first round, the second round. Hell, I didn't even pick them to beat the Pacers. And if they go to the finals, I might not even pick them to win the finals. Maybe they'll just laugh their way all the way to the bank.
I mean, the Knicks heard the disrespect from the pundits, and finally they're answering. The Pacers, they also heard disrespect from the pundits. They answered, especially against Cleveland. Cleveland, of course, they had injuries to Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, and DeAndre Hunter, but that doesn't explain everything. Rick Carlisle had a game plan for when the Cavs had injured bodies and when the Cavs had everyone fully healthy. Hell, even Donovan Mitchell was playing through an injury, yet that doesn't explain everything with how the Cavaliers inexplicably collapsed in the second round.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot to ask for because you go from Kenny Atkinson and alongside for J.B. Bickerstaff, both coaches of the year. I don't think you can already fire Kenny Atkinson. He just got there, so just get healthy, figure things out, Cavs. Maybe not try to go so hard in the regular season as they did. I know you're going to get set to take things away in this 1-1 game. It's been very tight. It's been a lot of fun. And maybe who scores first? Well, that's going to be the most important in the second period to determine who wins possible.
Perhaps that is the case about who scores first in the second period. But we don't know if any lead is even going to be safe here in this Western Conference final between Dallas or Edmonton. We don't know if any lead's going to last.
No, that's the one thing between these two teams. From what we saw from Draisaitl, excellent puck movement off the kill, work his way toward the left side dot and get a snipe in off the screen alongside for Hyman and Cece. And then the other way, Draisaitl tries to throw back to Klingberg. Too much puck handle, stick, see you later, pass Klingberg, blood short side. You get set to take it away. It's going to be fun.
Oh, yes, it is. This is going to be a fun series all the way down. Alec Nava, John Ott here with you. The second period has just begun. All the way back is Kulak as he backhands it to center ice. Picked up at the far boards. Sent onto the near corner spot. Koza was chasing after it. The former Oiler Cody Cece cuts it off. Bouchard can't get it as that was picked up by Dallas. Settled back down over at the Edmonton blue line by Matt Duchene as he sends it off with Stuart Skinner. Offensive zone time has favored the Oilers in that first period. 5 minutes and 22 seconds were for such. 6-3 the shot attempts off the rush, also in favor of the Oilers. So you can already give an idea that the Oilers have established themselves as the better team after one period. 12-9 the shots on goal in favor of Edmonton as this one's played out of play.
And we talked about a little bit of the pregame, how both of these teams are outscored in the first and second period. But I am still waiting in the back of my mind, Alec, to see the Dallas Stars take over. No, that's not been their mantra so far throughout the playoffs, but I really want to see them have dominant stretches because I think they're going to have that at some point if they want to get past the Oilers.
Yeah, they will want to, especially for Mikko Rantanen. Here's a one-timer that's walked after the long shot from distance. Dumped into the near quarters, Mikko Rantanen will arrive there first. Rantanen gets boxed out by the other 96, Jake Wallman. And it flutters right onto the opposite quarter. Hyman got in the way of Rope Hintz. The Finnish Mafia's out there. Connor McDavid blazing it with speed. McDavid fires, kick save, a rebound! Oh, that almost was put inside. Sharp angle try. Could not go there for Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. And Dallas, they'll survive and get this out. Whiff on the clear attempt as Rantanen got shoved down. McDavid will restart again of his own zone. That blazing speed is dangerous as we saw against Vegas and earlier in this game. Connor Brown, who was a game-time decision heading into this game, pass intercepted, but Dallas can't get this one out. Picked up by Edmonton at the top of the right circle. The pass all the way across reaches to the bottom of the left circle and then all the way back to the left point for Nurse. Nurse, long drive, and that's caught by Oettinger as we have a shove after.
I know we look at it from the radio side from where we're calling, but if you get a chance to go on the TV side, it takes Connor McDavid maybe about 4 seconds to go from 200 feet on the ice. That time he just rides the right side wall. He doesn't need a D move. He just blows past Gradlin, Harley, and he's going to make them all look like they're standing still.
He's the fastest player in the NHL by far and away. We could talk of Nathan McKinnon, Matt Barzal. McDavid's easily the fastest player in the league and the best player in the league. 2 scoring chances, and he set up the goal for Leon Draisaitl earlier in this game. That's how good he is as fans are starting to make their way back after getting to the concessions.
Yeah, they need to get there quickly. You don't want to miss this. I almost feel like Connor McDavid's even faster with the puck.
Yeah, that's how amazing he is. You could put him on the fastest skater challenge right now, and he could win that at any given day.
It's Adam Henrique against Seguin, reverse 91-19.
Nice little reverse touch. Seguin did used to wear 19 with Boston. Dumped in right onto Skinner. Will be collected up by Sam Steele from the far corner. Steele still chasing after this puck. Lyubushkin right point. Now opposite point. Deep shot bounced off Skinner. Picked up by Troy Stecher as he wanted to get this one out. Henrique will get this over to Stecher, and now it's Nurse. Stecher replaced Ty Emberson in the lineup. On the defensive pairing side, centering pass was knocked away by Lyubushkin, trying to get away from Evander Kane. This puck goes to a waiting Seguin. Across the ice, this is moved in by Leon Bichel, and around the boards. Nurse there to cut that one off, and then right behind, it is Stecher. Right back for him. Matthias Ekholm has not been into the lineup since April 11th. Do keep in mind, that is a scary thought for the rest of the league should he return to the lineup. Dallas recollects this at center ice. Dumped in deep. Chasing after Zadonov, but gets knocked away by Stecher. He's been out there for a long time. Janmark, a former star, gets knocked down the ice, and Dallas can't handle it. But boxing out Evander Kane was Oscar Bach. Ceci will restart his own zone. This is moved up through center for Lindell. Towards the far side, Kulak was there. Janmark went down. Tight shot bounced off of Skinner. Will be recollected at the right circle by Ceci. Tried to shoot this one around, but can't. Right behind the net, swing and a miss on the pass, and the Oilers will move it up for the near side. The third line out there, Trent Frederick will park in the near corner on Robertson. Whistled this one around for Evan Bouchard. Bouchard deflected this one wide. It'll be Dallas one more time, moving this for the near side. Evgeny Dadonov cannot send this in deep as Kulak was in the way. Leon Draisaitl towards the far corner. Will center this one up as he removes this one through to Brett Kulak. Kulak return feed. Draisaitl tried to tuck it past Oettinger. This rebound pass could not be handled, and towards the left side, Kulak held it. Caught off by Thomas Harley. Kept alive by Edmonton. Poked free by Podkolzin. Towards the right point, Bouchard mishandles. And they'll have to restart all the way back in their own zone. Bouchard waits. Will play the passing game up for the far side. The pass across was knocked away by Duchesne. Too many bodies there as Draisaitl held the zone. Draisaitl got by Duchesne. Boxed out by Harley. Ryan Gretzky's office. And the Stars will restart. They'll send this down the length of the ice towards the right behind the nets. As Klingberg played it to Podkolzin. His deep pass was misplayed and is iced.
I know it's difficult for the Dallas Stars to contain both 97 and 29, but Draisaitl, they're wide open up the first for a wrister that was saved with the left pad of Jake Oettinger. Then an opportunity there off the cross pass. Just kind of just shows you that Edmonton really can't stop them. All you can do is try to contain them.
4 goals per game in the last 9 games of the postseason. That should tell the whole story. With a 31.6% power play conversion rate. And that's shy of the historic numbers they put up in 2023 in that year's regular season. This point shot was blocked as Ceci kept this one alive. Klingberg almost got in the way. This puck bounced off of his skate on the pass. And the Oilers will try again. This one bounced to the Dallas zone. McDavid there. But played it directly for Michael Granlund. To the Finnish Mafia getting set up. Rantanen got boxed out. From the penalty box door, sent in by Ceci. Skinner stumbles. Hintz picks it up in the far corner. A one-timer was stopped by Skinner. It's right behind the net. Klingberg gets it free. And played it right onto Hintz, who gets shoved off at that near corner. Klingberg's in trouble. Rantanen gets slowed up. It'll be Ryan Nugent-Hopkins who plays on the backhand towards the far side. Deep pass bounces down and will be iced one more time.
When you think about this, too, we talked about it a little bit in the pregame, but for Edmonton, they used to be really top-heavy. Dallas didn't have a lot of talent about 3.5 years ago. Now, when you're looking at it, you have Hintz, Granlund, and Mikko Rantanen. If I would have told you a few years ago that Edmonton would have to stop that, you would say, no chance. But now, when you look at these two teams, it's pretty even.
Yeah, very even between these two teams in this mini rivalry that's revived over the last few years. Here in their recent meetings in the conference finals. Pass goes out to the right circle. Give and go for Marchment. That pass blocked off a skate. And it's Klingberg, the ex-star, who turns it over to Marchment. Marchment gets knocked down by RNH, and that allows Klingberg to play it back for McDavid. Pass for Klingberg blocked. McDavid gets it back, though. With the far side held in by Dallas. They could not control it, though. And Edmonton They probably get knocked down here, and it's going to be a penalty against Dallas. It'll be Mason Marchment to the box for tripping.
Are you kidding me? Connor McDavid the other way, Alec. He was trapped on both sides of the boards, right and left. He spins around both of them. Then his pass, okay, partially messed up at the blue line side, no problem. I'm going to dive, reach out with my stick, knock it away, and also draw a penalty against Mason Marchment. That's insane.
What else can you ask from your captain if you're the Edmonton Oilers? He fights for this puck. It was Zach Hyman who tried to control it. He gets tripped up, and Marchment, who served 2 minutes, he's none too pleased about that. And I know he's none too pleased because he tried to poke away the puck, but no can do. It's McDavid. He tried to evade defender after defender, even his former teammate Cody Ceci.
So we know the Dallas penalty kill leads about 84.6%. Their power play did not look good last time, but it's going to be a tall task against this Edmonton unit.
31.6% conversion rate in the last 9 games are the Edmonton Oilers on the power play. Dallas gets the first say as they shoot it down the ice. 0 for 14 on the road, though, are the Oilers when on the man advantage. And the Stars have killed off 15 straight power plays at home. McDavid entry feed for Draisaitl. Draisaitl gets it back for McDavid. And center feed gets knocked away. Nugent-Hopkins scores! And for the first time this postseason, the Oilers score a power play goal on the road. It's RNH.
Perfect call by you, Alec, but let me ask you this. Honestly, I'm going to bounce it back to you. On a scale from 1 to 10 in terms of easy, 1 being as easy as you like, that was probably a 2. I mean, the Edmonton Oilers get this one started, and alongside with Draisaitl, the right side, here's a backhand flip. Corey Perry wide open. What a beautiful touch pass to RNH. That's just skeet shooting, target practice.
Yeah, RNH target practice on the right side of the net, past the glove hand of Jake Oettinger. That's as easy as day, John, as you can put it. Right on the slot, left unguarded. You cannot defend that. You cannot set that up better than the Oilers did.
What is that, like 15 seconds off the clock, too, against this Dallas unit? Yeah, as you said, don't take penalties.
Especially not against this Oiler power play. It doesn't matter if they're home or on the road. It will score, and Dallas almost scored there, if not for Stuart Skinner making a pad save. Held in by Labushkin as this one bounced off a skate. And it goes towards the far corner. Bouchard played away from traffic and away from Mikko Rantanen. With the most dangerous star on the ice, sent up the near side, that bounced off of Vander Kane and out towards a Souvenir.
This is what I was talking about in the interim now as we're going to get set to go to break. It's 2-1, and if I use the words danger territory, everyone's going to look at me like I'm crazy, but this is what I believe at this point. You've given Edmonton the lead there. It was a Mason Marchment penalty, honestly, to his credit. I don't think he really could have got out of the way. Connor McDavid, Zach Hyman, the one got tripped, but they created all of that. Here's the deal. Edmonton's got the lead now. They scored that one rather easily. You look at Edmonton from what we saw over the last few games, especially in the postseason in the last few years, they're able to lock down leads and look good while still running their offense.
Yes.
Dallas, from what we've seen right now, has not ran their offense efficiently and has struggled to score. Even though it's just a 1-goal game, Dallas really needs this next one because if they go down by 2, that's where the questions come in with the Stars. Can they find their offense to find their way in this series? They got to give themselves some runway. They can't go down by multiple goals.
And we also have to mention that throughout this postseason run, Dallas has largely played from behind in the majority of their games. And soon enough, the Stars have to find out that playing from behind is not conducive to a winning formula. Yes, you got to the conference finals, but it took a comeback in Game 7 against Colorado and taking on a good Jets team and taking them to 6 games in doing so with stellar play from Connor Hellebuck in doing this. Dallas, even though they're winning, the way in which they're winning, we don't see this working out against the Oilers.
No, it's not sustainable. You could get probably as far as this Western Conference Finals where they are right now. And when you get into the Final Four, if your numbers still look like that, Alec, you're going to be going to Cancun.
Yeah, or the golf course if you're a hockey fan and doing some swings to practice your one-timers.
That's the situation that Dallas might find themselves in. Again, I know it's just game one. Again, I don't want to speak too much in either series. Again, Dallas doesn't normally win those either, but there comes to a point where you just can't play from behind against a team like Edmonton.
Yep. It's 17-11, the shots on goal in favor of the Oilers at this point of the second period. We are closing into the 7-minute mark here as McDavid's 24 speed burst of 22 points per hour as the backhander was stopped by Jake Oettinger. We speak of how good this Oilers team is. Brett Kulak almost had another one.
Some of these looks, Alec, that we're seeing right now, I know you're calling this play-by-play and you're doing a great job, but these looks are wide open here against Jake Oettinger, and at some point, he's not going to be able to save everything. I know he's given up 2. I wouldn't necessarily bum him on either one, but Dallas's defense got to lock back in a little bit.
We speak of the question marks surrounding the Oilers defense. Now there are question marks on the Stars defense because ever since Miro Heiskanen went down late in January, the defensive structure has been called into question here. And they've been getting themselves into high-scoring shootouts. The puck goes out of play. But the point still remains about the Dallas defense. They have not looked good.
No, and when you think about it, the last 3 years, as I mentioned a little bit in the open before we went to the break, yeah, you would think you're absolutely crazy for saying that, but it's the truth, Alec. You're absolutely right. There's legitimate concerns here on Dallas's back end, especially if they're not scoring as many goals as they should.
The scary part is, yes, Liam Mitchell is a third-pairing defenseman, but when you have Jake Wallman on the third-pairing side, you can mix and match anyone on the defense pairings if you're Edmonton, and it all works out, even when you get Matthias Ekholm back from injury. So it's a tough decision and a tough pill to swallow if you're Troy Stecher or anyone else, but you have a tough decision to make if you're Edmonton, if you're wanting to take out someone from the lineup. This Oilers defense is good. Breakout pass was too far for Jason Robertson. It goes to Stuart Skinner. He points it behind the net. And for Jake Wallman, Skinner's back in the crease. Johnson tied up his man. The Oilers have it. And they get this out to center, collected up by Kasperi Kapanen. Overtime hero in Game 5, but Colson wants to wrap this one around. Set a pass towards the front. Doesn't make it all the way. Back towards the right point, Bouchard. To the far half boards. Back towards the point. Draisaitl. Bouchard fakes a drive. Bouchard scores! Top shelf! Evan Bouchard! 3-1!
Oh my God. Wide open again to the left side off the back skate. And then reverses it toward the right post. Jake Oettinger, how are you doing, my friend? Because I'm assuming you're not feeling very good after that one. Alec and I just made the point that he's speaking into existence about the defensive core. At least on the Edmonton side, probably being more offensively capable. Bouchard's got all day. Another screen out in front. No way Oettinger's going to be able to get over. Just excellent work by Edmonton.
It's just the third game that Kasperi Kapanen has played, but he has been playing meaningful hockey for the Oilers in this postseason. It feels like we're seeing him back in the days when he was in Toronto and playing on the second line next to Austin Matthews. 18th career playoff goal for Bouchard, second most by an Oilers defenseman. And a postseason career right behind his assistant coach, Paul Coffey, who is 35. This one sent in deep by the Stars, and this will be played on by Kulak. My God, his stick grab by Mikko Rantanen will play onwards here. I'm surprised there was no penalty for holding his stick. 5 goals in the postseason for Bouchard. Could be a chance for a 4th goal here for Edmonton. It is RNH cycling around. Hyman sets up. We'll go all the way back towards the point. Darnell Nurse. This bounces up. Oettinger was in trouble, but he managed to keep that one out. And the shot advantage is 19-11 Edmonton. The Oilers have matched their goal total from Game 1 of last year's Western Conference Final Series, and they don't need a second overtime to do so this time around. Here is RNH. He wakes up. This bounces off of Bach, and this will be collected up by Dallas. Driving inside for the far boards. Send a pass too far for Bach. Labushkin closes inside. Bounces towards the front of Stecher. Had it too far for him. Dadonov closes him off. Bishop keeps this one alive and around through the boards. Jamie Benn is available at the near corner. And this swing pass never got all the way through. It'll be RNH, who had the go-ahead goal for Edmonton. This will be flipped down for Oettinger, who catches it at center field.
Well, I'll say this. I really feel smart when I always work with you. I always say that because you're the hockey encyclopedia. I'm glad that I brought in some of those thoughts about if Edmonton takes another goal lead up 2-1. I was kind of worried whether or not they would go up again, and then immediately they answered. Again, that's a great play. Got Hyman out there in the front trying to do battle with Rope hits. As Evan got wristed by Bouchard. And their previous chance could have been 4-1. It hit the bar from Darnell Nurse.
And then went off the back of Oettinger's glove. So it was a weird pinball-style play.
We'll see what ends up happening here, but Dallas, if I hadn't said it already, I will say and double down on it now. They're in trouble now. Like, they got to get the next goal.
Yep, 3 goals, 2 posts hit on 19 shots. And of course, you would believe that the trouble could catch up if Dallas is not careful. Matthias Janmark, one of the stars, got knocked down. Tyler Seguin chasing after the puck. He gets beat out by Jake Wallman, the former Detroit Red Wing, former San Jose Shark. For the near side, Skinner plays this one out for Klingberg. One of 2 former stars here on this roster, the other being Matthias Janmark, who he finds. Janmark gets closed off, and Dallas will move it up for the near side. Steele waits up, drops out for Seguin. Seguin rips it, it's caught by Stu.
I like that shot for Tyler Seguin. I know it's dropped off there for Steele. You get a good spot, shoot, get the face off. Don't hesitate, because again, you saw the puck get turned over the other way, already created some goals. And I can't believe I'm seeing that right with Evan Bouchard, 1.09 in the playoffs. Only second in defense scoring behind Bobby Orr in the playoffs.
And we put Bobby Orr comparisons for Cale Makar, and those comparisons are still valid. But I'm surprised that Bouchard has that many points per game in the playoffs. The Oilers are full of playoff risers.
Yeah, they are. And they do get a lot of points to the Oilers' credit on their blue line side. They create a lot of their offense as well as their forwards.
They score a lot of goals from the blue line, too. It's not just Bouchard. You think along the lines of Darnell Nurse, their former number 1 defenseman. Taken inside by Edmonton, but they are way offside. Or icing, rather.
No, you're right. And that's what makes them so dangerous. Again, Stuart Skinner, as we'll go to break, right at past the halfway point of regulation, 2 goals in that second period. Kasperi Kapanen with that screen out in front from Bouchard on the latest. And then that drop to go ahead and get sniped. We'll go ahead and give you that reset as we go to break. RNH on the power play, that took about 15 seconds from McDavid and Draisaitl. I love that entry. Back inside, Draisaitl throws it to the right side blue line. McDavid enters right in the middle of the slot, RNH. And that one is bottom right corner. Same thing, Bouchard, top right corner. From RNH and Draisaitl, Jake Oettinger, 16 of 19. Stuart Skinner, 12 of 13. I know what the narrative's going to be because you mentioned it last year, 2-4 for Jake Oettinger, and he got outplayed by Stuart Skinner. But, Alec, I'm going to say this honestly. Between Jake Oettinger and those 3 goals given up, I don't think he could have saved any of them.
No. I believe that at the one that he gave up to Bouchard, it could be hindsight's 50-50. But the one that he gave up to Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, well, that's not one that he is stopping because wide open from that area, he was not stopping that. The Draisaitl one, that too, he was not stopping that. He left a lot of that far side of the area, which he left unprotected. I think for a matter of a fact that perhaps the blocker could have been of more use, but Dallas is doing a poor job defending some of these goals.
Oh, absolutely. I would say the first 2 goals in the second period is completely on the defense because the first one for Draisaitl, he's able to spin around and alongside with McDavid, just ride the blue line fine. Great individual play, that happens. But Marchman takes the penalty. Wide open in the slot is Nugent-Hopkins, and then wide open in the slot another minute and 40 later. That's unacceptable for Peter DeBoer's squad.
Yep, you cannot trip up any of the Oilers in any case. Doesn't matter how good the Oilers' power play is. You cannot go up. You cannot afford to set any of these 2 teams on the power play. But with the way the Oilers are playing now, that's especially true for the Stars. You cannot go a man down. They did so. They paid the price. Back here at Dallas, where the Oilers lead 3-1 in this year's edition of the Western Conference Final. At this point, the Oilers, they led by 2 goals. Dallas forced double overtime in which the Oilers won 32 seconds into the 5th period with a McDavid winner. His second career playoff overtime winner, the other being a series clincher against the Calgary Flames in the first Battle of Alberta in 30-plus years in the playoffs. All the way back is Wallman who collects it up. Wallman will slow up, or rather that's Kane as he fakes out Rope Hintz. Kane tried to center it up, but got was cut away by Granlund. On the other way is Rantanen slows up, centering fade for hits, a little too far. Skinner stopped it, is held inside by Lindell. 4 members of the Finnish Mafia and Cody Ceci out there. The 5th member, Miro Heiskanen, on the bench. Back in the round for the near quarter as the Oilers cut off all sorts of stars there. Hits, Swiped away by Nurse towards the far half boards. Dallas holds it with the Finnish Mafia playing a lot of zone time here. CC, the ex-Oiler, waits around the right point. Swings this around towards the far corner where Rantanen holds. Rantanen with a fake on Kulak. CC gets tied up and does not shoot it. He got dispossessed. And here's Draisaitl who takes it in one-on-one. Waits up on Lindell. He'll delay at the far corner. Draisaitl gets shoved one, still holds. Towards the right point, holding his Stetcher. His deep shot bounces up off a skate. And it goes wide and does not hit Oettinger. Granlund will leave it for CC. A goal and 2 assists so far for Draisaitl on 8:50 of ice time. We were waiting for the breakout game from one of the McDry superstars. We're seeing it here from Draisaitl. Up the middle, a big hit along the collision at center ice as Seguin drives it inside. Seguin tried to leave behind. Too many Oilers in the way. This puck still on no man's land at the near half boards. Comes out for Stetcher at the far corner, where he passes it by Marchment. It's collected up at center ice. Drop pass off for McDavid. McDavid waits, spins for Hyman. 84 hits in the postseason after having 59 in the regular season. Playoff Zach Hyman, or should I say Shaq Hyman, is a real thing. He had 16 goals in last year's postseason, which is a salary cap era record previously held by Alex Ovechkin, who had 15 in 2018. Near the Oiler bench, Trent Frederick. As the Oilers were changing, Steele picks it up and sends this one down the near boards. Will be collected by Edmonton at their own zone with Wallman for Klingberg. Has McDavid towards the side. Will drop it for Wallman as McDavid exits towards the bench. Deflected up, and this will go towards the mesh.
And it's pretty simple for Zach Hyman in the mix for the former U of M man. When you got that sort of supreme skill, and Hyman does as well, but between Draisaitl and McDavid that are going to make the plays, you need somebody that's going to be willing to get in front of the net, set screens, get in the dirty areas. And Zach Hyman does all that, and he can also score for you.
Oh, the Shaq Hyman discourse has me thinking about the narratives of the early 2000s narratives. Because I would ask, who's Kobe Bryant in this scenario? Well, it's both McDavid and Draisaitl. Let's not lie.
Oh, yeah. Again, that's exactly what makes them so dangerous. And again, as you said, Alec, and alongside all the D add now, Stuart Skinner, I think, is a big game goaltender when it matters. I didn't normally used to say that as far as his narrative, but I think that that's true, too. And this team is pretty dangerous.
And we got recent PGA champion Scotty Scheffler in attendance here at American Airlines Center and watching the Dallas Stars as this gets poked behind. Once again, congratulations to Scotty on his third major championship of his career. Frederick gets right by the defense. Frederick gets slowed up as the Stars defense catches up. Gets hustled out at the far corner as the Oilers are trying to go after it. Stars trying to get it down. Leaping grab by Bouchard to keep it in. Draisaitl undresses the defense and Oettinger with a big stop. That's an absolutely must-save chance there for Oettinger, or one of the biggest chances that Draisaitl had as it gets iced. Oh my goodness, this kid is special.
My oh my, German superstar number 29, Leon Draisaitl, as this puck did not get out twice for Dallas, and Lyubushkin, just to try to stay in front, it was a forehand, backhand move. Blows right by Lyubushkin, need that secondary help, but just to try to not get put in a spin cycle. You just can't make mistakes. If that puck does not get out the first time, Alec, one of these guys is going to make you pay.
The icing bailed out the Stars big time on that defensive sequence because Lyubushkin was getting undressed, and Jake Oettinger saved his bacon big time as well. Waiting it's Kulak as he goes towards the near side. Kulak's been on both sides of the Battle of Alberta. Spent the early parts of his career at the Calgary Flames before landing with the Montreal Canadiens. He's been on all Canadian teams so far in his career. This is his third team in Canada, the Edmonton Oilers. Nugent-Hopkins ties up his man. Evgeny Dadonov keeps around. Robertson can't finish it, and the Oilers clear it. Towards the near side, McDavid tried to get right by Heiskanen. And it's Harley picking it up. We haven't had a chance to say their names a lot in this game, but now's our chance. Here is Wyatt Johnston up the near side. Johnson can't get by Nurse. That defense so strong for the Oilers, whether it is Nurse, Stetcher, or any of these core members. And all the guys that they use to replace all of last year's guys, they're doing a good job filling in those old holes. When we speak of the likes of CC, Broberg, Holloway, Fogle, McLeod, the replacements have been just as good, if not better. Kulak wakes up. He is chased by Tyler Seguin, gets away from him. Kulak from the near side. He might have dumped it in from behind the line. And I think it went out of play.
Are we getting a Oilers power play? I'm wondering from behind the play when I heard for Ray Ferrara.
I think it's interference as Wes McCauley made the call. I think we didn't even see this one.
I didn't see it on the camera shot, admittedly, Al. Like, it looks like Thomas Harley might be the first to send it. Well, we saw what happened the previous 15 seconds for Edmonton. They score here. Even for a team like Dallas, if Edmonton scores here, this game's over.
Yeah, with the way Dallas is playing, they're relying on too much hero puck all throughout the postseason. Hero puck isn't really a sustainable way of winning, where it'll be regular season or playoffs. It can work against weaker opponents in the regular season, but when the playoffs arrive, whole different animal.
Yeah, when you mention hero puck, I'm thinking of some of the same things that we saw alongside for Florida and Toronto with those long 150-foot passes that don't hit and this and that, and that's not good. And again, for Dallas, again, a lot of you, just like myself, be thinking about a Stanley Cup final and all that, but again, as we mentioned, if you don't have secondary goal scoring, that doesn't work. But the main thing that's a stick in the craw for me, Alec, is it just looks like Edmonton's getting everything too easy in the second period.
They're just having their way with the Dallas defense. They're just toying with them all throughout the game.
16 of 19 is Jake Oettinger. I would say maybe one of those his fault, not the other one. Stuart Skinner, 14 of 15, and other than maybe some misadventures behind his own net, which he didn't get scored on, those are probably the most dangerous chances he faced.
The breakaway goal that he gave up, that was not his fault as well. Just a miscommunication and a good defensive play by the Stars. One of the rare solid defensive plays that Dallas has made in this game.
Yeah, and they're going to need a lot more of that because that was a Tyler Seguin special, making that all happen essentially on his own. And unfortunately for Dallas, it's their best defenseman, Thomas Harley, in the box.
And we say he's their best defenseman because Heiskanen is playing through the injury. We don't know how much that he is playing through, but he did knock down Matthias Janmark, which is an uncalled for penalty, just a light shove. What was that for?
Yeah, it wasn't even near the puck. What is he thinking?
Yeah, that's a bad penalty to take. And the Oilers, who just needed one shot to beat Jake Oettinger on the man advantage, they'll get another chance. Tie up of the draw. Dallas will shoot this down the far side. Once again, they get first save, but we've seen this before with the Oilers. They scored once on the power play on the road, but it was in this exact game in which they scored their only goal on the road when on the man advantage. McDavid sets up for Draisaitl. Return feed McDavid. McDavid tries to get right through. Oettinger between the pads with the stop. That would have been a vintage McDavid goal.
So we've seen this now. If we've seen it now, we know Peter DeBoer and his players, they got to be mindful of it. How do they start their play? Richard in behind, you got McDavid or McDraisaitl all the way in tight on the right, and then they leave it there for McDavid. It was the same exact zone entry 2 times now off the rush. We'll see if Dallas can make the adjustment.
They need to, and desperately. They focus too much on where the puck is and not where the potential slot threats could be. The Oilers, they win this one way too cleanly. Then it goes all the way out onto their own zone. McDavid doesn't have a goal yet in this series, and he only has 3 goals in this postseason, but he feels like he's been the most impactful player of this postseason. Draisaitl off the feed from McDavid. Draisaitl goes back to him. Here is Bouchard again. We'll feed it to RNH. Bouchard. Does he go to McDavid? No, he goes to RNH. Now back for Bouchard. Now it's McDavid, who walks in onto the right circle. Centering feed, that was knocked away. Dallas may have a shorthanded chance. Instead, they'll just float this off the near side boards. And Chris Knobloch isn't one to shy away from double shifting the top power play unit. In fact, this is a strategy he relied on down the stretch of last year's postseason as the games get tougher. Corey Perry, as the Oilers get set up on the power play. Perry swings it around to RNH, or rather McDavid. Gets boxed out near side. The Stars send it down again. Bouchard grabs it at center ice. Bouchard waits. He looks towards McDavid's direction and finds him. RNH one more time. We'll try to go towards McDavid. Sam steals all over. Bouchard holds it. Draisaitl can shoot if he wants to. He does. And that one wide as Nugent-Hopkins picks it up. Left point. And Dallas just gets it out. Evan Bouchard. Wholesale changes coming for the Oilers in just a moment. McDavid gets closed off. RNH plays it off the far wall to himself. Looks towards the point. Will drop back for Wallman, who falls. Wallman gets by Bach. Sweeps it towards the far corner. And one last clear for Dallas. Held inside as the power play expires. Edmonton with a look, but there's nothing there. Thomas Harley as the Oilers defense gets back. Harley tries to walk in, and Wallman gets a stick on it just in time. Excellent defense from the former San Jose Shark. Kane brings it inside for Zach Hyman. Up around to the far corner, it is Heiskanen. Heiskanen will play this one off a leg, and Wallman, who has a plus 13 plus minus this postseason, he's been so good when relied on right next to John Klingberg. That's been an effective pairing. Dallas trying to play this towards the far side. An Oiler was in the way, and that is Hyman, the former Toronto Maple Leaf, formerly on the top line next to Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner. From their own zone, it's played out by Kane. Evander Kane flips on his backhand, right but onto the far corner. Bishop was there, Heiskanen too. Why Johnston waits with this, much better than a minus 14 he was throughout this postseason run. As Heiskanen gets uplifted, the Oilers keep it. On the far corner, Bishop ties up his man. Kane, a heap of stars going down. Janmark can't play it. Nurse could right after the Dallas clear. More changes incoming. As Oettinger slows up, it'll be collected by Rantanen at the far half boards. Fed up for Johnston as he moves inside. Dropped off for Marchment. Slows up. Fires. Stopped by Skinner as he took it on his glove.
That was only the second shot I've seen from Dallas. That Marchment shot looked just like the Seguin shot, just outside that right side dot, where they really had a good, clean look at the fire and not hesitate. And I know we said the first 20 minutes was close, and I'll lean into it more when we get into the second intermission, but this second period looks like Dallas is getting spanked a little bit.
Yeah, they are. We thought that was going to be the winner of Dallas, Colorado going to the Stanley Cup final. We may have second thoughts if this is the way that Dallas is playing here throughout this series. We anticipate a series that goes 6 or 7, but now we may be thinking along the lines of a rematch, but it's only one game. There's still a lot of game left here for a lot of series left here for Dallas to make their adjustments. But Chris Knobloch is a coach that is known for adjusting to any adjustments that opposing coaches make. Here is a partial 2-on-1 as Janmark closes in. And centering pass. That went off a stick and off of Oettinger. Loose stick here. That was off of one of the Dallas players. 82 seconds left in the frame. Up the far wall. And Skinner will play this one out right behind him. Heap of stars. Closing that one off of one. The Oilers fell down. That was Duchesne who held it inside. It is Marchment, Duchesne, and Seguin reunited again. Left point is passed across for Harley. Harley shot deflected. Went off a stick. And right in front. Skinner with a tremendous stop. As a penalty is called for hooking against Edmonton.
So now we'll see what happens here. As Kulak looks like he might be going, according to Sean McDonough. It'll be Dallas for the second look. And they really need something here in this final set of minute there, because they finally got one shot with Marchment before that. With the hook, it was necessary. A couple rebounds down in front. I want to see, does Skinner actually get a piece of this? This was blocked by Darnell Nurse out in front. He never even had to get up.
No, he didn't. Darnell Nurse with a tremendous block as he got down and protected his netminder. Nurse with one of the biggest plays of the game. Kulak once again in the box. That's the second penalty he took. But if the Oilers can play like they did in the first penalty kill, they'll be in good hands here. Adam Henrique sends it down. 56 seconds left in the period. If the Stars don't score here to end off this second period, they'll have carryover power play time. About less than a minute here, separating the power play clock and the game clock. White Johnston up the far side for Matt Duchesne. Duchesne loads up, and that's stopped by Skinner. From the near corner, Mikko Rantanen goes behind the net, but that one's closed off by Bouchard. He sends this one down. Bouncing puck goes all the way for Jake Oettinger. Oettinger will lead this behind. Harley will look to drop it, and does. Or rather, he faked the drop, and now he drops it for Tyler Seguin. Look to go back here. This Oilers penalty kill has been on their A game over the last few games. Shot down by the Oilers. Chance for one last rush to end the period for Dallas before we go to the intermission. Towards the far side is Tyler Seguin with 5, with 4. Seguin towards the front. Granlund turned away by Stuart Skinner. 1.1. And now the curious decision.
Yeah, I'd go for it. I'd go ahead and make the pull there with 1.1 if you trust it there. Stuart Skinner At least, he's paying attention. Close the 5-hole. It's the right path. That was a good setup there alongside Seguin. Seguin, I'd have to say, even though he scored the goal, I think he's been the best star.
Yeah, he has. He's been everywhere on the ice, as he's been the most impactful player of the game for Dallas. 24-19, the faceoffs won in favor of the Stars, and there we have the stats that we are looking for. A log jam at the slot, and we have a false start against Dallas. So Granlund's going to have to be tossed out. The game plan here for Dallas is to get a quick shot off the faceoff. They have to do it in 1.1 seconds. We'll have to see the puck drop here as the Oilers win it. So there'll be no quick shot. The Stars will have 58 seconds of carryover power play time to start the third period. The Oilers in the last two postseasons, 17-1 when they lead after two. They've won 13 straight such games.
Yeah, Dallas, again, 0-3 on that side. And getting all the numbers out in front of it. Somebody was wearing a Adrian Kempe jersey on the side of it, so I wonder if it was just a bitter Kings fan that wanted to go ahead and watch some of this outside of American Airlines. But I got to tell you, the score line says one thing, and 3-1 tells you that it's close if you're looking at the score line. But in that latest set of 20, all I was seeing was an Edmonton unit. And between RNH, Draisaitl, McDavid, Hyman, whoever you want to throw out there, Bouchard, Woolman, just able to get to their spots. Again, their power play entry was the same. You started with Bouchard, right in behind the net, one outstretched pass across the way from Draisaitl, drop to McDavid, start your power play. Able to do that twice. Get wide open looks in the middle of the slot there for Bouchard. Draisaitl able to lift. Edmonton's able to get to their spots too easy, but the one Kulak's got a couple of penalties. I think both of those were necessary to negate goals. But between Kulak, Bouchard, Nurse, Stetcher, Wallman, and Klingberg, it's 6 players on 3 different units that are all able to play the same way regardless of the offensive personnel on the ice. That's good work there for Chris Knobloch's squad.
Of course, we look at the coaching matchup. I know Knobloch has been an NHL coach for just 2 seasons now, but already I believe Knobloch has the edge in the coaching battle between him and Peter DeBoer. We think that it was going to be Dallas last year, but Edmonton had a different game plan. Knobloch is able to make the adjustments and is able to make those in-game. He loves to tweak around his lines because he feels he wants to get the matchup advantage when necessary to get an edge over the teams that he faces. That's what he did against LA. That's what he did against Vegas. And that's what he's doing against Dallas here. You can set out Draisaitl and McDavid together. You can have all the tools at your disposal. You can play a full set of cards. If you're playing a game of blackjack, Knobloch can deal a 21 at any given day.
Yeah. That's the one thing for me. Again, we talk about the depth that Dallas has. We have not seen that throughout the first 2 rounds. If we don't see that at all, again, as you mentioned in the pregame, this will not be much of a series. But when you have the ability, as you beautifully mentioned, to throw a blackjack out there at any time with Leon Draisaitl, Connor McDavid, I know it's the narrative we've been using for years, but I'll say this for the duo as well. I think they've also gotten much better defensively over the years when they've had better players around them, because they're able to pick up the slack and get the secondary goal scoring that they needed, that these guys don't always have to go and concentrate just on one side of the ice.
Yep. And it speaks to the adjustments. You want to concentrate on both ends of the ice, that the Oilers have the edge here, both offensively and defensively. They're able to transform defense into offense, and Knobloch has transformed this group that plays on both ends of the ice. We speak of how North-South hockey is a style that's meant for playoffs. This Oilers team is a hybrid team that can play both East-West and North-South. It depends on the personnel that Knobloch deploys, whether they go East-West or North-South. He has it all.
Yeah, we were talking about that going into it. Now getting a chance to watch this again, at least from my 4 eyes, see and look at the replays and things from last year, knowing that Dallas has a depth as mentioned, now that they have Mikko Rantanen, I think Granlund and CC were good additions, and yet to still see this team being shut down through the first 40, I think opens your eyes. Again, not going to read everything into one game, but if this continues this way, and let's say Edmonton wins the first 2 on the road, then they get to go home where they only have to at least split. then I'd be concerned about Dallas. Would I be concerned about their long term? No, because I think that they're going to be relevant over the next 10 years. The one thing I will say, I don't want to go there, but I want to get your thoughts. I don't want this version of Oilers Stars in the Western Conference Finals to turn into Oilers Kings in the first round. What I mean by that is the Stars can get there, but they just can't get over the hump because they can't beat the team in front of them.
Oh, that Oilers Kings first round series of this year was the most painful to watch out the four Oilers Kings first round series. But this year's Oilers Stars series, entering tonight, the Robertson, Johnston, Duchesne line. Well, I need to see that graphic again because it exited out in and out so quickly. Minus 25 combined in the first two periods of this game. Minus 6.
How? They're elite. Like, if I use the word elite, I don't think you're going to laugh at me, but they're potentially elite players. How could you ever be minus 26? And the next, so you got Ben and Sig. I know Ben doesn't have the same offensive personnel part of it. And again, we mentioned a little bit alongside Scheifele with that punch and all that too. I mean, if they don't get their way, they start throwing physicality in this and that. But then you cannot be that bad with those type of players.
No, it's just impossible. I know why Johnston's now sitting at a minus 15 rating now, but that's just not possible when you have a group of Robertson, Duchesne, and Johnston on one line. We speak of how good this team is in the Jason Robertson era and the impact that he's had as soon as he stepped onto the ice. In the first year of when he's truly exploded to form and was in a conversation for the Hart Trophy where he had 100 points in 23, he burst onto the scene and instantly made his presence felt when the Stars made that deep run where they faced Vegas in the Western Conference Final. That's just not possible, and if you're the Stars, you cannot let that happen again.
No. You've got to find a way to make an adjustment in their game, too. The one thing for Dallas that you and I can say, because we've seen it enough, Dallas is not one of those teams that lose multiple games in a row. They can make adjustments, and Peter DeBoer's done a good job. I fundamentally agree with you on Chris Knoblauch. I do have to give him his flowers. In terms of having high-end personnel, that's not his fault. You have what you have. You make the adjustments to make everyone else around you. And the reason why I think he's a good coach, automatically look at this too for Corey Perry. You wouldn't expect a 40-year-old to have 5-6 goals in the postseason and consistently get out in front, but yet they've done it. And everybody else in their bottom six, as you mentioned, they've been remade. They've been able to do well and get the job done there too. So all well and good points by you, but I think we're thinking the same thing here for Dallas. If you don't win this game, you better win game 2, because then you're going to figure out what's going to happen. Because for Carolina, Florida, there might be a little bit of being outmatched in this and that. But again, the narrative doesn't come into play for Dallas if their secondary goal scorers don't show up. I just want to give you one little stat reset, and then we'll go across wherever you want. 21-17 on the shop board. Shop board does not tell the story in this game, because Edmonton, you can look at it wide open in the middle of the slot, all the chances, they're just being uncovered. And you give those players like RNH, Bouchard, Draisaitl, those chances, they're going to score every time. So 21-17, Oilers out in front there. Hits, not overly physical. Don't expect it to be 28-23. Edmonton has the advantage there. Face-offs, partial edge for Dallas, 24-20. Their second power play will have carryover time, which Alec will take the first half of it. But giveaways, 11-8. Edmonton has the edge there, which you don't want. The block shots only 10-10. So Dallas not able to block shots too much because they're giving up too much in the middle of the slot.
Yep, and the takeaways are pretty much even. The Oilers don't have to worry about the giveaway department because they are dominating with puck possession so much that it's not giving Dallas a chance to even get set on the offensive side. And as for the other game, the Pacers and Knicks are still going on. They're well into the fourth quarter, but we expected the star players to show up here, and they have. Jalen Brunson, 31 points and 5 assists on an efficient 12 of 8 shooting. Karl-Anthony Towns, 20 points, 6 of 9 shooting. A good piece of business for him. Tyrese Halliburton, 23 points, 9 of 17 shooting, 7 assists. We usually see him as a scorer. We also see him as a passer, so he's doing good on both sides.
It's a game, as you said, about 10 minutes left to go in the fourth. That could go either way. And we will keep an eye on that as Emily Kaplan's interviewing Evan Bouchard.
And I also want to mention people have been following along with the MVP voting and how tight it was. It was so tight that you could not go wrong between Shai Gilgeous-Alexander or Nikola Jokic. But with a league-high 68 wins, and with the way that Shai is elevating his team around him, and even through the number of injuries, even though they were few and far between, even with the injuries, he's been the most consistent piece of this core. You can speak of free throws, but he's the complete package with clutch scoring, elite defense, elite level of awareness, and elite passing. He's the type of guard that you would love to have on your team. Congratulations to Shai Gilgeous-Alexander on his first career MVP.
And again, he was able to show in a big way just in yesterday's game as well. 10 of 27 shooting at 31 points and a plus 22, which led everybody. You mentioned Casey Wallace. I didn't have to score a lot of points, but he was a plus 21 off the bench. That Thunder bench absolutely dominated the T-Wolves. He had 28 points for Julius Randle, which was a heck of a lot more than I expected. But still, the Thunder handled their business. They went 114-88.
You know, this Western Conference series is going to come down to who has the better defense between the two of them. Which one locks down their guys more? So far, the Thunder had the first say. It's not doom or gloom in Minnesota because you have at most 6 more chances of this if you're Minnesota. You got to win 4 of them. You remember, this is first to 4 wins. But it's the superstars that make the game-winning plays that matter the most in this series that's going to come down to. You are looking at Anthony Edwards and SGA in this one. It's a battle of these two, and with the Thunder, they took control of that third quarter. They didn't look back a single bit. They held Anthony Edwards to 18 points, fresh off of his masterclasses against the Lakers and Warriors. And Julius Randle as well, who's come alive in this postseason, which I'm happy for him for. The Thunder, they are showing themselves they are the best team in the league. And it's an obvious statement as such when you have the best defense in the league, the best offense in the league, and you completely lock down a Timberwolves team that most of the NBA fans are rooting for to make it to the NBA Finals. I just want to see the Thunder win something.
Yeah, you do. And again, we talk about that core, and alongside with Sam Presti, when you think about it for KD, Russell Westbrook, James Harden, and Ibaka, and now you have all those lottery tickets into the same core again. It's really fortunate if you're an OKC fan because, yes, you haven't won the title yet, but you think you've had good teams for a long time, and they're going to be good for a long time, but you never know when your chances are going to run out. Seemingly, it shouldn't run out for the Thunder anytime soon, but you're here in the Final Four. You might as well make it count. When you think about the 4 teams that are left, the Thunder are the best team that's left.
Yes, and many people expect them to win the championship because of how good they were in the regular season. You rarely see teams getting 65+ wins in the league. To get 68 is a special year. But with that comes an added sense of mounted pressure on you. It's playoff inexperience going to catch up. But for the Thunder, it's not catching up to them. They added experienced veterans in the offseason, Isaiah Hartenstein and Alex Caruso, and that's paying off for them. They thrived in a big way. Mark Daigneault used an unconventional method of guarding Jokic in Game 7. You have Caruso guard him. And then if he needs any sort of help, you bring in either one of Hartenstein or Chet Holmgren along to blitz him. And that worked in that Game 7.
There's a lot of depth, and there's a lot to feel good about, and that core should be good for a long time. Let me look at some of the Major League Baseball standings. We covered everything. The Tigers rebounded after getting destroyed 11-1 by the St. Louis Cardinals. They took the next 2 of 3. They have an all-important series now back at Comerica Park this weekend in between the Cleveland Guardians. It'll be at Comerica. It'll be the first time that they meet up. And they're playing Cleveland at the right time, who've lost 5 of 6. So we'll see how that one goes. The Seattle Mariners also gain a game in the West as they're up 3.5. They're 20-20. They've been pretty good. We've talked about the Orioles at length. At least they won today, 16-32. I can't believe I'm looking at that record. They only have one more win than the Chicago White Sox in the American League. But as I'm looking throughout this, I think I have to at least shout out the NL Central because I didn't expect the St. Louis Cardinals 27-23 or the Chicago Cubs 30-20 probably to be as good as they are.
No. People were thinking the Cubs were due for a breakout, but we didn't anticipate this breakout to be this soon. They all have the staff to thrive, and they all thrive between Ian Happ, Michael Busch, Shota Imanaga, and all that core. But the Cardinals, they've been the real surprise of the year. Because we thought that their complacency would be their downfall, but I think the patience is what they're banking on.
Let me look at this, because if I didn't click on this, I don't think you and I would have been made aware of it, but I want to do it anyway. So the San Diego Padres, you look at their record, 27-20. That sounds pretty good, but you're at Petco. You get swept by the Mariners. Mariners score 5, 4, and 6 in their 3 games. Padres only score 3 runs in 3 games. Then they go on the road to Toronto. They get shut out 14-0 and 3-0. They've scored 3 runs in 5 games.
I don't know what is the slump with the Padres, but they get blanked 14-0 against the Blue Jays. Ouch. That's a big ouch there. When Fernando Tatis Jr. doesn't have a hit, this is the team that people were hyping up last year as a team that could potentially stop the Dodgers. But now, I know the Padres are having themselves a good season, but you need run support because you're getting hits from Manny Machado, Luis Arias, but I cannot excuse getting blanked on back-to-back times and getting blown out in one of those shutouts by the Blue Jays. You look at guys like Xander Bogaerts. That contract, ooh boy.
That's a rough one. And as you said, Alec, 3 runs in 5 games. Their run differential, 199 to 178. 199 runs is not a lot. That's 47 games. Diamondbacks have 255. Giants have 230. Dodgers have 281 as far as runs scored. So as you mentioned, that's a great point by you. For Tatis, if he's not scoring, then you're not doing very well. And let me just put it to you like this. Colorado Rockies are 8-40. I know that's brutal, but their run scored is 159. If you're telling me the Padres only have 40 more runs than the Rockies, then there's something wrong with their offense.
The same can be said about the Kansas City Royals. They have 172 runs scored throughout the season.
Yeah.
And even though they're trying to fight for a playoff spot, when you have 172 runs scored, and you have to realize that you need a boost to your offense. Find someone that can help your bats because you're relying on your pitching staff a little too much.
Yeah, that's a great point by you. I'm glad you mentioned that because we look across and some of those numbers really stand out at you at times, and those ones definitely do. You can't survive with just relying on your pitching staff. You're going to get set to take it away here from the top on the start of a Dallas power play. Again, the score line seems close. We told you after the second it wasn't. It's 3-1. And Dallas really needs this. Alec, you get set to take it away. We'll see what we can find.
It's one of those games in which the score line may show a close game, but it's not a close game. Dallas has 58 seconds left on their power play. It is the second penalty on Brett Kulak. Shot attempts are 45-35 Edmonton, but with the way that the Oilers are playing, it feels like a lot more.
Yeah, because the way that they were able to dictate everything, that's the main thing for me. Their defense and Stuart Skinner has been good, but their offense has been elite. They're getting into all their spots, no problem. And sometimes, Alec, as we profiled throughout this game to the first 40, it only takes 2 or 3 passes to open it up. That's unacceptable for Peter DeBoer's squad. And now you're in the inevitable position of where you have to find a way to get some offense. But it's going to start with this power play here. It's a must-get.
It is. Must score here in this third period. You need 2, just like in Game 1 of last year in the Western Conference Final. Puck is dropped. Third period is underway. Alec Navajanot. Dallas on the power play with carryover time. Marchment sent this one inside. Peter DeBoer made the decision to put Marchment to start up on this power play to begin this third period. So there's a second unit out there, not the top unit. Heiskanen, Seguin, Marchment. Granlund and I believe Robertson. Granlund gets tied up from behind. The Oilers can't get it out. Heiskanen on the hole for Granlund. Gets this back over to Heiskanen. Heiskanen with a deep shot. Score! They do score on the man advantage, and Daryl Finn won!
That's exactly what they needed, Alec, and this could now make it a completely different game. I know it sounds like a funny narrative from what we were just talking about, but a good screen on in front there. Skinner never saw it, and Heiskanen's shot had eyes.
It did. We don't know if it was deflected or not, but the fans are, of course, chanting Dallas Stars here to the tune of the song by Pantera. Might have hit a body in front. That puck had eyes. I think it may have bounced off Stetcher, if I believe. But no matter who it bounced off, it is a Dallas goal. They're back within one.
Mason Marchment completely takes the eyes away from Stuart Skinner. I mean, he's got no chances. That puck gets roofed.
Absolutely nothing there. The fans continue to chant here at Dallas. For the far side, the Oilers play this along from the right point. Cannot be held in by Rope Hintz as the Oilers take it up. Zach Hyman going one-on-one. 17th career playoff goal for Heiskanen, his first since January 9th. So welcome back, Miro. After the front, the backhander might have went and wide. Oettinger may have got a piece, and Dallas will move it up through the middle of the ice. They have a power play goal in every home game this postseason, including Game 6 against Winnipeg. It is right behind Skinner. Kulak boxed out his man. Towards the left side, the Oilers play this one through. This pass went wide, no icing, as the linesman blew it off. And right behind is Cody Ceci. 22-18, the shots on goal in favor of the Oilers still. All the way back are Edmonton, as they send this one up through the middle of the ice. This takes a bounce, and re-entering now are the Stars. They'll take a look back. Evgeny Dadonov of Adam Henrique going back. This goes a little too far. John Klingberg holds off his man to the near corner. Ben keeps one alive at that spot. Ben wants to spin it. Henrique was on his face. Bernier at boards. Cleared out. And back at the red line, this gets picked up on a whistle and an offside.
We're at an 18:05. Again, that's a huge goal for Dallas, giving themselves so much time to work with 18:05 left. Darnell Nurse trying to get that inside off positioning, but Mason Marchment looks like a redwood tree. Skinner never saw it.
He never did. Mason Marchment, he would look very tall compared to Stuart Skinner crouching down at that. Oh my goodness. That was an excellent screen by Marchment. Both Sam Steele and Matthias Janmark, it is Steele winning it. Janmark usually plays wing, not really a fourth line center, as the Stars, they ice it.
Yeah, he didn't want to do that, but you did mention alongside Peter DeBoer, and you expertly called it. They put Mason Marchment on that top part of that power play line to start, be able to get the job done. Now it's within a one-goal game, and now we'll see what Edmonton's able to do here on this offensive zone draw.
So the Oilers have a chance to capitalize as we see Steve Spott, one of the assistant coaches of the Stars. That coaching staff consisting of him, Alain Nasruddin, and Misha Donskov, and Jeff Reese, the goaltending coach. Face-off is to the right of Oettinger. 2-0-2 got this for a period. Alec Nava, John Ott. Game 1, Western Conference Final. Oilers lead 3-2. And a false start here against Edmonton.
Yeah, they're going to take Draisaitl out of the draw. Sam Steele going to still do better on the other way.
Steele wins the draw. It is a tangle up at the far corner. Heiskanen will clear this one towards the near side. Race for this puck by the penalty box doors. Won by Dallas, but held back by Edmonton as they fire this towards the near corner. Thomas Harley picks it up, chased by Corey Perry, and Perry picks his pocket from the far corner, wants to swing it around. Nobody behind the net, but quickly Podkolzin hounds Harley. Perry also catching up on his former team that takes a whack, and a kick saved by Oettinger. The rebound chance, and it's swallowed up, and then an arm is up from the official. Another penalty up against the Oilers, as Jake Oettinger will make his way towards the bench. 6-on-5 here for the moment for Dallas. Drop pass for Duchesne. Towards the right side. Moving inside is Marchment. Centering pass. This goes for Rantanen. And it's squeezed by Stuart Skinner. And Dallas will have a chance to tie this game as Vasily Podkolzin is banged up.
Yeah, he got hit with a shot block on the inside of the elbow from what they're showing. Alec, let me ask you this point blank. Did you expect this to happen coming to Edmonton right out of the break where they take 2 penalties already, not even inside 3 minutes?
No, I didn't. I didn't see them going and taking 2 penalties inside these 2 minutes, but that was, oh my goodness, that was a high stick from Corey Perry. I thought that was a cross check from Perry.
Right to the mouth of Sam Steele. I mean, what is he doing there? That's brutal.
Yeah, that is very brutal. And now Dallas has a chance to tie this one up. They have the best power play among every postseason team. They cough it up as the pass was towards an Oiler. That was not the way they wanted to start this power play. And unlike the end of their previous power play, this one starts on a whimper. Miro Heiskanen will move up for the far side for Seguin. Seguin had this one knocked away. Nurse gets in his face. Seguin wants to get this one back, but that feed was knocked off. The Oilers will take it inside 2-on-2. Connor Brown gets stuffed at the right point on a big and thunderous hit. Heiskanen will set up for Robertson. Jason Robertson moves up the middle. Robertson weaves by defense. Drop past Seguin. Kerwin drag. Stop by Skinner on the pad. Marchment will feed for Robertson, who hasn't scored yet this postseason. This bounce out to Marchment. Drop past Heiskanen. Granlund walks in, fires it, and scores! Top shelf! Michael Granlund ties it up!
Oh my God, Alec, this game completely changed. And it's Edmonton's all undoing. Some silly penalties in both ways. Wide open for the Finnish Mafia, Mikael Granlund, to tee that one off. Edmonton had a 2-goal lead. They dominated that whole second period, and they just shot themselves in the foot twice.
2 unnecessary penalties that they should not have taken. Well, one of them, Brett Kulak, he need to take because to slow down a defensive change, but that one from Perry, uncalled for, and Granlund makes them pay the second power play goal of this game for Dallas. I know the penalty kill struggles have been well documented, but Dallas, they showed why they're the best power play team in the postseason. 5th goal at the playoffs, 3 of them have been on the power play. The career resurgence of Granlund continues, and now the Oilers' backs are against the wall. Here's Draisaitl on a centering pass, and Nurse was offside. On third period comeback wins, they've had 4 in the regular season. In the playoffs, that number is 3. They may be closing on their 4th.
That's crazy because that shows you on the other end, Dallas was not a really good team when playing from behind. Again, 1-3 when trailing after 2 on that. But then you know what? In the playoffs on the previous side, completely turn it around. Edmonton takes a couple of silly penalties, and it's still 15-50 left to go in the third.
There's still a lot of game left. 4 shots for Granlund. Of course, he can find the back of the net. He is an electric scorer. That's why they brought him into the Finnish Mafia on this top line. Edmonton waits up from their own zones. Leon Draisaitl backs away from Wyatt Johnston. Draisaitl backpedals towards the behind the net area for the ex-star Klingberg. Klingberg holds up. One of 3 former stars alongside Matthias Janmark and Corey Perry. Klingberg to the middle. Klingberg waits up. Fades it for McDavid. That takes a bounce. And right onto Dallas. This is played out through center. This is not picked up by Klingberg, but helping him out is Zach Hyman. Hyman waits up and will drop it off. But it's a sloppy turnover at the defensive zone. That's not what's needed. And Dallas is able to hold, pass it to front to Hits, and set it up. Takes a bounce. And this one's stopped off the stick and up high, out of play.
I don't want to be disingenuous because I should give Dallas the brunt of the credit with a couple of power play goals as we look at Jim Nill. Again, I got a lot of pleasantries in exchange to him because he was the assistant GM of the Red Wings when they won all those cups. However, Edmonton looks lost after giving up on those couple. They need to regroup badly.
If they take a timeout anywhere from now or later, I would not blame them, given that they have a propensity for winning in the third period. This is cleared out by the Oilers. This is up high and into the air. Evander Kane, a battle of Cody Ceci. Ceci will win the foot race.
Because now the top right of the crossbar, the traffic in front of the net, all those chances, Bouchard, Draisaitl, mixing all that in the high slot. Now Dallas is getting all those. And now you're allowing the Dallas crowd to serenade Skinner, who, by the way, off the last couple of goals for Dallas, another on the power play. Those screens are perfect. Skinner's not saving either one of those.
No, he's not. Those are great screens right at the front. That's why Dallas has the best power play among the 4 teams that are left. Grabbed by the Stars, wanting to complete this comeback. Through the far side, this is deflected up and right onto the bench.
So now the shot board reads 22-20, and we said that about 15 minutes ago. That didn't matter. A couple power play goals changed that completely around. Dallas was given momentum. They're going to take it. Now it's just an opportunity whether or not to keep chopping on the tree, maybe win one when you were down 2. But, Alec, I still want to see the Shane, Robertson, Hintz, somebody else get on the board. Ben, Seguin. Sagan's already got one to get more secondary goal scoring, and then you can really believe in Dallas.
Thomas Harley wants to set her up. And another thing that it's worth mentioning, Wyatt Johnston. He has to step up here. Cody Ceci forced wide. A sharp angle shot was stopped by Skinner. Towards the left point, Thomas Harley on the hold. Back for Seguin. Bouchard's on him. Kolak pinches. And that shot was forced wide. And Edmonton will move up. And what in the world?
We're getting another penalty. It's Evander Kane on a high stick. What is happening?
Oh, if Dallas gets another power play goal, I'm starting to believe that the Oilers are just shooting themselves in the foot at this point. And they are right now. That's 3 straight penalties. High sticking the call. Of course, the Perry penalty was bad. But this one might hurt even worse for Edmonton and Kane. That's uncalled for when I know you're battling for the puck, but you can't high stick someone in the face.
No, I never even had it. The pass wasn't even in the vicinity yet. Dallas was dead to rights. They get 3 power plays, not even 6 minutes.
6 minutes of power play time all throughout, and they scored on their last 2. If they make it 3-for-3 on their last 3, I don't know what to say about this one. This is not good for the Oilers. It's been well documented they have the worst penalty kill among the 4 teams left. They cannot let them bite them. Here's Hayes getting one-timer. Rantanen! Oh, they finally scored! The Shane Wax at it! And now they score! 3-for-3? What on earth?
Alec, do we need to get one more of these or go to Wendy's, get a 4-for-4? Because at this point, it looks like Dallas is going to be able to do that. Matt Duchene finally gets on the board. Wide open was the net. Skinner wasn't even in the crease. And then this team, I can't necessarily blame Skinner. Let me see what happens. The first one gets blown by wide. Duchene's wide open and off the backboards. The bank was open as the first one beside of the net. But this team is completely falling apart.
Oh, that is shooting yourself in the foot. The textbook definition of such. And Matt Duchene makes no mistake banking it up top shelf. Oh.
First it banks off Hintz, and then Duchene gets it back and lifts it over. This is one game. I want to get you back into the play-by-play in a second, but this is almost a reverse Jim Hiller situation. What am I even seeing right now?
This is, I can't even believe it. Yeah, it's a reverse Jim Hiller from what we saw. And the Stars power play has showcased themselves the best in the postseason right now. And they're serenading Skinner as this puck goes out of play. But what on earth? The Oilers' lack of discipline is showing up at the worst possible time.
Let's keep in mind in the pregame, we talked about what happened in this series last year. Edmonton had killed 26 straight, and Dallas did not have a power play goal in that 6-game series loss. In game 1 here, they already have 3. And oh, by the way, they have 3 in the third period of game 1.
This is agony for if you're an Oiler fan. Pure elation if you're a Stars fan. And even though Edmonton is dominating 5-on-5, Dallas has the special teams battle to their advantage.
Yeah, they do. Because the Dallas Stars power play all of a sudden looks like the Edmonton Oilers power play that was God mode about a year and a half ago. And we could say whatever we want. Let's say Dallas wins the game. I know I should go ahead and give Dallas the full front of the marks, but I guarantee you on the story when it gets posted out, the majority of the blame and everything else is going to go on the Edmonton Oilers in this third period, taking 3 penalties, not even inside 4 minutes. I don't even know how they do it, but all of them were Evander Kane, the latest high stick on Duchesne, never had the puck. Corey Perry, needless cross-check right in front of the net. I know Kulak got burned on one of them. At least I can argue for Brett Kulak, both of his penalties were necessary. These other 2 were not. And I don't know what Chris Knobloch was talking with his team about going into it because they had a 2-goal lead. They were in the driver's seat in this one. And I said this a lot. I think you're more even kill than I was because you're more professional. But I thought Edmonton had this in the driver's seat. They looked very good. I was giving them a bunch of compliments. They looked like they were playing a complete game. And then they just ran into quicksand. But it's all their undoing.
It is their undoing. Penalty after penalty. This is not on Skinner. This is not on their top-end talent. This is on lack of discipline. And with the high sticks that they took, completely unnecessary. Miro Heiskanen and Michael Granlund on the first 2 to tie it up. Mason Marchment, well, he got high stick. I don't know if he did, but Matt Duchesne, his initial shot got blocked by Roope Hintz. We're back. This one is a race picked up by Ilya Lyubushkin. Duchesne's initial shot was blocked by Hintz, and then finally he put it away. 3 goals by Dallas in this period to take the lead, and now Edmonton, they have their backs against the wall on the near side. On the right point, Bouchard let that one go. And the Stars at the front, they scored twice on the power play against Colorado in that Game 7. This one sent towards the near quarter. This power play has been electric. The best in the league in the postseason. And this one played down towards Wallman. Jake Wallman sends it up towards the near side. Zach Hyman gets tied up. John Klingberg moves it back. Fans serenading Skinner and everyone's on their feet. All the way back across the Seguin slows up. Duchesne places one right in front. Duchesne trying to tuck it. Skinner with the stop. Duchesne centering pass at the front. And another try. Rupin is one. That could not go. Seguin at that one sticked away. And the Oilers are on their counter. McDavid gets sticked away on this puck on the defensive side. Duchesne brings it back. Duchesne for Marchment. Sharp angle shot. That went up high. McDavid ties up his man. And this one floated right behind Skinner. Marchment chases his guy afterwards. Towards the middle, it is Corey Perry, who brings it inside. Draisaitl towards the near side. Gets held up at that near corner. And Hintz let Perry go. Tries to not get a holding penalty. Hintz across. Hintz's shot went wide intentionally. And it's picked up by Perry towards Bouchard. And he's set to take this back towards John. And for 2 minutes as McDavid tries to do a half spin. The defense was all over him as Draisaitl is tangled up towards the left point. Bouchard. Evan Bouchard all the way back across towards the left side. Heiskanen stood by his man. That was Draisaitl. Fans cheering onwards. Back up front is Bischel. Leon Bischel is yet to have a point his postseason. Bischel back up front bouncing! Oh, that somehow did not go! At the near quarter. That almost could have been 5-3 as Granlund's down on his knees. And Draisaitl frees it up for Nurse. Darno Nurse plays it on towards the far boards. All the way back across, it's Kasperi Kapanen. Kapanen has a 2-on-1. Kapanen curl and drag. A backhander. That may have been out of play. Waiting for the signal. And it's going to be another penalty. This time it's going to be Dallas going to his penalty kill as Janmark will spin around. Bouchard towards the left point. The pass missed for Bouchard, but it's picked up by RNH. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins drops back for Kulak. Bouchard fakes a slapper towards Kapanen. Back for Bouchard. Kapanen one more time. Goes towards Bouchard. Bouchard floats towards it, deflected, and that's wide. Edmonton held it inside. Towards that puck is Kulak. Bouchard, both set up front. That might have been touched. Kulak on the hold. The deep shot deflected, and that's going to stay inside the near half boards. All the zone time for the Oilers is there buzzing here. Bouchard sets up for RNH. Back to Bouchard. The pass across for Podkolzin. He waits up. And then back for RNH. At the point now, walking in for a deep shot. And that went up high. A whack at the puck. And that's going to be touched up by Johnston. And it'll be whistled down. I'll take this to you, John. Edmonton's going to the power play.
So we're going to see what happens here with Edmonton on the power play, but I got to remind everybody at home, it was 3-1 Edmonton. 3 power play goals for Dallas in this third as we sit now with 10:06 left. This game's completely changed. You had the action all over you. Bischel doesn't block up Bouchard there. He takes a penalty, probably a goal that Oettinger gives up after all that puck possession. Honestly, I feel like I've had my mouth on the ground the whole time while you were calling it.
We were witnessing the impossible in the early stages of the third period. But now the Oilers have a chance to tie it again with a power play goal of their own. And we could have our jaw dropping again if this is tied again.
I know it was not even 10 minutes ago where I said Dallas has to score. They made it 3-2. Now it's 4-3, and Edmonton has been taking all these penalties. Alec, can I say it now that Edmonton's got to score here?
They have to now.
Let's see what happens as those horns and sirens continue to go off. We will do this puck drop again. Dallas, 3 power play goals in the period. As this is sent back in behind the inboards, this game has completely changed. I know the stats were close, but after that first set of 40 and that back half of 20, Edmonton was in complete control. Now they're not. Connor McDavid, another right side wing. They'll drop it. Send it back in the high slot for a Draisaitl, walking near the right side dot, back to 97. Evan Bouchard's already got one. Connor works his way high slot, gets around Beck. We'll try to put it toward the net. This one goes off the end boards. Back to Connor. Quick pass. Try to work him behind the net. Draisaitl off the give and against the end boards. As it's Bouchard. Right side blow line. 1:15 left to go in the Edmonton power play, and it feels like a must score after everything. As this one goes up and out of play, we'll stay right here at 9:17.
Deflected out as Sam Steele tried to get the clear. Edmonton's been cycling around as Dallas. They've been forcing the Oilers towards the outside. They want to make the adjustment to account for how torrid hot the Oilers are in the man advantage. Dallas has been having the edge on on both special teams so far. And even though that didn't look like the case early, this has been outstanding work defensively.
Yeah, specialty teams essentially has won them this game because you got the 3 power play goals. And yeah, I know that the Seguin goal didn't end up being shorthanded, but that was on the side of Edmonton toward the end of it, and Seguin does it all himself. Otherwise, again, this would be a tie game if not for Seguin's efforts from the first. McDavid race across the Texas D. Here's a drop near the right side boards, this time in reverse for RNH. Right side dot Draisaitl on his back skate. Not RNH, kept on the outside are the Oilers. Bouchard walking McDavid, wrister that's deflected back to 97, and his pass goes right to Victory Green. Easy clear down the ice. 4-3 Dallas have the lead. And let me give you the reset one more time as Edmonton gets organized. All in the power play. Heiskanen, Granlund, and Duchesne. Heiskanen and Duchesne with their first secondary goal scoring that Dallas has needed finally shows up in round 3. That's partial reason why they're up by 1. Kane, Perry, Henrique doesn't shoot. Klingberg! This one denied by Oettinger with the left pad of all people, but he was wide open in the middle of the slot. Dallas, Bischel, back out of the box. Everybody pounding the glass now. John Klingberg. He takes another wrister. This one hits Oettinger. He didn't know where it was. Labushkin able to get it out. In Edmonton, we'll see what they can do here with 3:45 left to go, or 7:45 left to go in the third, as this puck goes up and on a play. Shot board now rates 24 apiece.
Dallas has been the aggressor here in this third period, and McDavid and company frustrated that he didn't score on this man advantage. But that was one that they need to have. The scary part, Rantanen has not scored just yet. That's how scary Dallas is when they're at their full capacity.
So, admittedly, tomorrow, I'm going to work the Carolina-Florida game. Now, I was thinking about going on the hardwood side for Friday, because I thought maybe one of these teams would win definitively and I should cover some basketball. But considering what just happened, I probably got to bounce back to this series in game 2.
I guess. But the Knicks, they are up by 5 points with less than 30 seconds to go. And, of course, the big-time players are showing up for New York. It is Jalen Brunson with 37, another masterclass from him. And Karl Anthony Towns, 32 points, 10 rebounds, 10 of 15 shooting. So these are masterclasses left and right.
Yeah, I'll make sure I monitor it. Now, thank you for the shout out again, because I was kind of leaning on going back to that side of the series because I think it'll be fun. Dare I have to remind everybody again, I know it's painful for Dallas, but they had Luka Doncic and Jalen Brunson.
Oh, that hurts a lot. And even though they made the finals last year, that's a smart piece of business from Nico Harrison to get Daniel Gafford and PJ Washington to shore out the starting five. You had Derek Jones Jr. on the starting five. You had everything Dallas to begin the year to help out Luka and company. But, that's just painful looking back at a trade if you're a Dallas fan. And it hurts a lot because the Mavericks front office are just refusing to admit that they lost this trade.
Yeah. And again, I know it might not look that way, but I do think it does put more pressure on the Stars, let alone the Cowboys always face pressure, but this team at least looks complete on paper and have an ability to win a Stanley Cup. I think there will be some pressure on the Stars to win one with this core.
Yeah, there is. We profile Evander Kane, who has 5 hits in this game and just 1 shot, but the 5 hits are showing why he's a playoff riser.
So we'll do the draw again just outside of Dallas's defensive end. 4-3, 3 power play goals. Heiskanen and Duchesne get their first of the playoffs. That's part of the big work, as this will go up and on a play. And we'll get a little bit of talking to with Mason Marchment and Darnell Nurse, but nothing will come of it.
Well, that was broken up before anything could get out of that. But Kane has been everywhere on both ends of the ice, setting the tone in the hits, setting the tone on the net front, setting the tone, driving the offense, whether it be on the second line or the third line, whether it be next to Adam Henrique and Connor Brown, or whether it be with Leon Draisaitl. That, either way, it works.
I'll say this honestly for Mikael Granlund. I know he's got the 3 goals in the 1 game. He's starting back to the next part of the previous round. But if you would have told me that Granlund had 5 already for the Stars, I would have thought you were crazy.
That is amazing.
Now Seguin, and toward the left side inboards, he's all tied up with Kulak. Tyler Seguin, he opened the scoring for Dallas. There's a good pass out in front, but then just eludes that left side line. This will work out for Dallas, though, because it'll give them some puck possession. Thomas Harley, you got Bischel, you got Miro Heiskanen as well. You got a lot of good defensive pieces here for Dallas, as this goes back to Stuart Skinner. I think Skinner's going to get a couple more starts here before Pickard is even healthy, but I'm not putting the blame on Skinner at all in this one. His team just fell apart in that third period, as Miro Heiskanen will play this one back. Intercepted now for Bouchard, and at some point, Edmonton's going to have to go. This pass bounces off a Nurse. It's the Moose with the puck, slows up on his backhand, and this one will get bounced back to him toward the right side red line. We flip back down Granlund, just eludes him, and Edmonton now try to go left to right. Draisaitl off the spin and turn. He's really pressured against the inboards as they're trying to double shift McDavid. There's an opportunity now for spin and turn. That one is saved for Oettinger with the left pad. Kept in now as Lindell could not get it out. Edmonton, good spot to shoot, and Jake Oettinger, big save. It really hit one of the Edmonton Oilers out in front. As this play's still going on, let's see if they even pop back up. Here's a battle through the screen as this one gets sent wide. Mikko Rantanen, as this goes off the glass to make the smart play and chip it down. Jake Wallman, again, he's got some offensive game. He hasn't really needed all of it because he's on a loaded Edmonton team, but he loves to bomb slap shots, and he can score. He's also a pretty good defenseman. 11 hits for Zach Hyman in this game, and he was the one that got hit by the puck at the friendly fire. As this goes the other way off the drop for Kulak, couldn't find RNH. As well, Jamie Benn, Dallas does have numbers. We'll see what they can do. Wyatt Johnston, he misses it all. As this is Dodonov, haven't called his name at all in this game. RNH takes a hit alongside with Wyatt Johnston. That plus-minus does not look good in the playoffs, but if you win, it doesn't matter. As this is sent back in for Troy Stetcher, of all people, trying to chip and chase off Harley. Loose out in front, and denied off the backhand was Brown. Good save for Oettinger. He didn't even have to move. As this is sent towards Stetcher, this will be stopped with the right pad. Spun back around for Evander Kane. This is going to be a wild 5 minutes. Evander Kane to the goal mouth. Oettinger tries to stick it away, but it hit Jimmy Benn out in front. Didn't hit him. Swim back around now for the captaincy and Ben. Slowly off the glass, and it works. The Donov needs to change. He'll do so. 4:40 left to go in the third. John Ott with you alongside Alec Nava. This game has been absolutely bonkers. Nobody would have imagined that Dallas would get 3 power plays not even in 4 minutes and score in every single one of them. Corey Perry kept on the outside. Pass in the high slot. Wristers. Pull a drag shot. This one blocked out in front by Esa Lindell. That hurt him. As this will be sent back down. Sam Steele trying to get chased. He can't win the icing. But this crowd is in an absolute frenzy at American Airlines.
Everything's happening. The third line is getting looks between Evander Kane and Connor Brown. He got a slapper from Leon Draisaitl that was friendly fire off the one-timer deep left point. Accidentally hit Zach Hyman on the shin pads, and that knocked him out. He's got 11 hits, and as John Klingberg slows up, Trent Frederick tried to get the shot off, but he might have fanned on the shot, and it went towards a waiting Miro Heiskanen.
4:18 left in the third, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but we're almost at the point, Alec, where Stuart Skinner needs to leave the goal crease. And that only happens because of the 3 power play goals for Dallas, trace for trace. And it was pretty instantaneous once that switch flipped. Goes the other way now for Robertson. Again, Robertson able to play passenger a little bit more in this series. He's still a young player, but at some point, when he'll start to break out and be the 100-point player you expect him to be, we'll see. Backhand, lifted, score! My goodness, Sam Steele have a postseason!
He's having himself the playoffs of his life. Sweep, forehand, backhand to essentially ice this one and put it away. Sam Steele has been one of the most impressive players on the Stars in the last few games. And that one may have solidified that at this night for Dallas. Wow, what a goal.
4 unanswered goals for Dallas. I just said nice things about Jake Wallman. He was going backwards. Sam Steele, top shelf. Seguin's right there anyway. Every single time one of these goaltenders want to be able to move over, Alec, they can't. Whether it's Oettinger and Skinner, these screens are right out in front. Both of these teams obstructing the vision of these netminders and taking their space away.
And this would be the 4th such comeback victory for the Stars should the result hold. Unless if we get a LA Kings style finish in game 1.
Seguin on the backhand again. They did not have a power play goal in this series last year. Already got 3. 2 in the first 2 rounds. They're going to give that one to Seguin off the deflection. So credit Sam Steele with an assist. Seguin was right there. I guess he got a stick blade on it. Nonetheless, Sam Steele created that play. Seguin able to get a stick blade on it out of the air, little hand-eye. That's his secondary goal scoring check mark, Dallas.
Oh, I thought that was going inside with Steele alone, but this was a much better game than what we saw yesterday. We can talk about the mismatch between Florida and Carolina, but these two are at least evenly matched between one another. He spoke of the question marks of what the Stars are going to bring about playing from behind and their goal differential in the postseason. Well, don't count them out. They can provide that secondary goal scoring too. It was just a matter of when.
So you don't have to answer this question right now, but I do have to lay the question out. So if you're Chris Knobloch and you're in the media and you're going to be asked about this third period, and obviously the 3 power play goals and what went wrong, you go to your guys in the dressing room and you got 2 narratives, Mr. Nava. You say, we dominated that last set of 20 going into the third. We took control of this game. We let 4.5 minutes get away from us, and it cost us this game. You could say that we'll bounce back in game 2 and be better. Or you can look on the backstretch for Peter DeBoer and say, you know what? This was the exact game that we needed. We got all the secondary goal scoring that we wanted, that we didn't have in the last round, and now we're playing with confidence, and we could be cooking. How do you see game 2?
Game 2, I would expect some pushback from the Oilers in the sense that they stay cool and they stay with their heads leveled here. No need for unnecessary penalties. they need to focus on discipline, especially in late game situations. You cannot allow your players to high stick players left and right. Am I seeing this correctly? Tyrese Halliburton made a game tying shot again.
We're going to have to go right to that OT when we get to it because we're going to have enough time. 3:30 left to go. So Alec and I might have a little bit of bonus action here for you before we close off, unless McDavid has some extra happening. But Tyrese Halliburton, again, he's one of the best clutch players in the entire world. And I would say he's putting himself on a very short list in NBA history, as this one is an empty net goal. They pulled Skinner. Call off the Dogs for the Dallas Stars. How about it? A 5 spot. This one's done.
Yeah, this is over. Esa Lindell, who's been the most impressive defensive defenseman in this game, he seals the deal. And the Oilers fans, they're leaving right now. Don't blame them, but here, what a comeback here for Dallas. A 5 spot as they took advantage of the Oilers' lack of discipline. They intercept the pass, Lindell does, and sends it down the distance. Oof.
Edmonton was outscoring their opponents in the third, 19-9. It's a -5 differential. And when I see that look that we just got for Draisaitl on the bench, I think that says it all.
That look just says everything. That look from Draisaitl, yep.
Skinner, now back in behind the end board. So, Alec, do you mind sticking around for the OT?
Yep, for OT, Pacers, Knicks.
So I'm going to wait another minute here, and then I'm going to flip it over as they get set to go the other way. And if we have any other updates, we'll go ahead and bring those to you. I don't think that this game is going to completely change in the next 2:35, so I'll give it one more off the stoppage and flip over. Thomas Harley back in behind for Dadonov will do a pirouette. Again for Skinner. We could ask him between the 5 goals, maybe one of them is on him. I don't think Jake Oettinger had a bad game, but Edmonton certainly had a bad period. And it was not just a bad period, Alec. It was essentially a nightmare. As this will be sent back in behind the end boards. Vander Kane can't find it. With 2:05 left to go in the third. I can't believe I'm saying this. I'm going to go ahead and flip the channel because Dallas has scored 5 in the third period.
That just doesn't seem real. That 5 spot in the third period when the Oilers have done a good job protecting leads throughout the postseason. The unthinkable has unfolded here.
Yes, it has. So we will keep you updated as far as the marker. I've officially flipped. If we get any other updates, we will give you those scorings. Now, normally I would not do that, but considering where we are, it's a 3 spot. That game's over in the final 2 minutes. And Tyrese Halliburton, as Alex just mentioned, ended up getting another one. 29 points and a +12, 11 of 24 of 11 from deep. But I didn't see this right, Alec. I have to do a double take. 9 of 12, 8 of 9 from distance is Aaron Nesmith.
That was unbelievable from Tyrese Halliburton. Aaron Nesmith, of course, being a part of that band of misfits on the Pacers as we look at this on Halliburton as he backpedals. Oh, and I thought that this was up and rimmed up, and then it came right back up. That looked like Damian Lillard's shot at the bubble.
4:31 officially in the OT, so that's way ahead of me as far as this. I'm just getting the tip off here. At 1:25 apiece, Tyrese Halliburton with a 17-6 run. A little bit of extra play-by-play here for you because I'm glad we get a chance to check out some basketball here, all things considered. We'll monitor that scoreline once official on the other side. Cal Bridges falls down. Here's Hart. Floater. Missed it short. An opportunity now for Spicy P. Pascal Siakam alongside for Tyrese Halliburton. Again, this is just game 1. We're in the Garden now, one of the best venues in all of sports. Miles Turner with the fake. Now takes a mid-range from 16. And this one too strong off the front of the back iron. As Towns will clear the board and give it to Jalen Brunson. Again, we are in OT. If it's tied again, we'll continue it more. We'll see what happens. We're still waiting for the first basket in this overtime. Good screen for Towns as he cut to the rim, but he got cut off. in behind for Turner. Here is a back down for Towns. The double shows up cross for Hart cross court. He missed the three. This one deflected. This will stay with the Knicks.
Karl-Anthony Towns set a good screen on Jalen Brunson. I believe that he got the body right on Aaron Nesmith moving up. I thought that there could have been a foul there.
Definitely could have off the off arm. As we see with 3:50 in this OT, again, we need it all. It's different in hockey when you don't. As this will be the other way now for Towns. Right elbow. Here is the jumper. And my goodness, Alec, I know he could just shoot over, but Karl-Anthony Towns certainly has a touch.
He does. Right when someone has him in his face.
Tyrese Halliburton stutters, gets to the lane over Towns, and that was partially contested by Cat. He got banged up, maybe in toward the middle of the chest. This picked up. He was staggering to get the other way. Here's a double against Brunson. He's got nowhere to go. Good defense, but this was saved to Towns. Inside off a layup, and it's good.
Good job by the Knicks to keep this one alive. And cycle for OG Anunoby had all sorts of daylight on him.
Pacers need something. Nemard. Here's a pass knocked away. Knicks have numbers. Brunson. Oh, he's blocked at the rim. No foul. Halliburton. He's got it. One more for Nemard in the corner. My goodness, you bet.
This overtime has everything. From the block from Brunson all the way to the Nemard right corner free. This overtime is beautiful to watch here. The final score is official 6-3 Dallas in game one. And I think there was a foul away for the play. Karl-Anthony Towns is hurting, I think, by the way that he is going.
I couldn't believe after everything that we covered today, Alec, that Dallas would score 5 and win 6-3 over Edmonton, considering there was a 3-1 game. I know it's all the power plays on the other side. And then we get the chance to look at Tyrese Halliburton hitting a miraculous game tire. And now the Pacers have forced OT. That's where we are.
Yep. And Nemard doing a good job getting his feet behind the arc, sticking with the free ball.
It's 129-128 is the score. The Knicks up by 1. Trying to see who wins this series opener. Man, oh man, Brunson nowhere to go. Dive on the floor is Josh Hart. What else is new? He's everywhere. He might get a jump ball alongside Nesmith.
When we speak of this rivalry between the Knicks and Pacers, we speak of several different eras. You speak of the battles between Patrick Ewing and Reggie Miller, the battles between Carmelo Anthony and Paul George, and now this next generation led by Brunson and Halliburton. But a good job by Hart to stay on the hustle and get this jump ball being forced. It's him and Pascal Siakam.
So admittedly, I said Pacers Thunder in the final, but again, I'm not much for predictions as far as getting them correct apparently this year, but I have that much respect for the Pacers. I know I profiled it in the first about having the disrespect partially for the Knicks. I do think they're a good team. I just didn't expect them to get to this far. Regardless of what's happened in front of them, they've earned it. And all these teams are in the Final Four. Nemard, great move as he got past Brunson with a Euro.
Yeah, creatively getting right by the Canadian doing it done.
45-44, the first lead since the second. Here's a swipe. The other way now. Nesmith is head down. This one blocked by Towns. And now the Knicks trying to take the lead. 150 left to go in this OT. If it goes to double, Alec, you can take over. I don't want to take all the priority. As this goes the other way, Brunson floater. He's going to draw the foul. That's what he does.
Nesmith does everything to the extreme. He likes to take it up and want to go towards the paint, and he wants to play an in-your-face style of defense. That's his game. As he boxed out Brunson for the most part, Brunson smartly does the fade and forces Nesmith into a position where he can't do anything else.
So Jalen Brunson usually very, very good at the free throw line. This first free throw make would make it a tie ball game at $1.30 apiece. We got 144 left to go in the OT. Jalen Brunson makes the first. Alec, whether or not he's a small player or anything else, Jalen Brunson plays with the fire and moxie, and he's very, very adept at getting the free throw line.
He is. He does it creatively and does so smartly.
If he makes this, he'll be 10 of 12 at the line. He's already shooting an exceptional percentage. And now the Knicks have the lead. We'll see what the Pacers can do here on the road. After Tyrese Halliburton tied the game with the buzzer beater, forced OT. It's Towns against Nemhard, step back, offensive rebound, and we'll see if this one stays with the Pacers. I believe it's going to.
I think Josh Hart deflected it out. They might have to look at it even more, but I think it was knocked off by Hart on a type out of Siakam.
It's unbelievable to me that I can say that Josh Hart, I believe, is the best rebounder at a shooting guard position in the history of the NBA. He really just does everything. He's not afraid to fight for contact, get multiple rebounds. Halliburton, what a ridiculous finish!
On the roll, just got it inside. He is incredibly clutch in these situations. He does everything that you ask for.
1:15 left to go in the OT. Neesmith against Brunson's screen. A little too handsy there was Tyrese. He'll pick one up.
And Halliburton not happy with that, but what a finish. He draws the contact from Hart and finishes this one off. And then Halliburton, I don't know who trips him up. I think it's going to be Neesmith who tripped up. I think Neesmith tripped up Brunson.
That's what it should be instead of Tyrese Halliburton from what I saw. Again, his eyes have the same reaction as me. I don't even think Halliburton really fouled him, to be honest with you.
No, he didn't. That should be a Neesmith foul.
So Jalen Brunson going to get a chance to go to the line again. One to make the tie and one to make to take the lead. Same scenario as usual. Mitchell Robertson is going to enter the game for Cap.
And Mitchell Robinson's someone that you can rely on for defense. The Knicks need a defensive stop right after the Pacers. Here's back to watch the free throws.
If Jalen Brunson makes this, we'll have 41, Alec.
Yeah.
It's 133-132. I know that's nothing new for Jalen Brunson, but considering his size, I mean, that is incredible. He just consistently scores. As this will be the other way for the Pacers. What can they do? Siakam, one more pass, wide open. Halliburton makes everybody miss. Oh, and it's slammed out by Toppin off the rebound.
Top in position at the right place at the right time to slam it after the Halliburton miss to make sure that bounces off the rim. Top is known for flashy dunks like that.
Brunson, clutch player of the year. You know what he can do. He's already got 41. Brunson, floater, wide open. What a move. And now it's a 1-point game again. 135-134.
Not exactly Euro step, but a nice finish from Brunson to adjust.
Pacers with the ball. They need points. Shot clock at 16. Inside, Nemhard scores. And the Pacers have the lead again. Thibodeau wants a TO.
What are we witnessing here, John? The playoff game of the year?
If basketball was always like this, Alec, we'd be covering every game. There's been a lot of these that have been blowouts and this and that. But we've covered the Pacers a lot in between play-in tournament and this and that. Every single game I watch with them is always entertaining.
And this one is no different. This is an entertainer back and forth. And we are seeing these two styles of what they play at their very best.
So 136-135. I'm really glad we got to the OT considering what happened to us at the end of the third period between Dallas and Edmonton. And look, that game was really good. It was an exception of 20 minutes where Edmonton kind of took over in that second. It didn't look close. Self-inflicted mistakes, 3 power plays, an empty netter, and all of that. Dallas all of a sudden looks really good. We'll see what happens. But again, I might, on the Friday side, go back to the Pacers and the Knicks. If it's anything like this, I feel like I'm going to have to. Do you want to cover the final portion of this in OT to keep it fair? You take it.
Let's see how this goes on the rest of the way. 136-135 at the Knicks having the possession. Yep, let's go, John.
You take it away. Again, the Pacers have the lead. It's been back and forth, seesaw affair, and we'll see what more we get as far as timeouts and who wants to do what. But it looks like whoever's going to have the ball last might win it.
Yep, and the Knicks, they have possession now. We're going to see who is yet to score here. Brunson with 43, Towns 35. They're both out there. They'll fluct it out. And the Pacers, they last touched it. Nembhard alleges that it was the Knicks who last touched it.
I don't know if he's going to win that case there alongside with Rick Carlisle. Again, the Knicks, they're wanting timeout. I think they're going to take – Pacers are going to take one. That's what I got right now. And it looks like we'll see if Rick Carlisle wants to challenge anything. But on the camera shot that I got, it looks like Nembhard got his hand on the ball.
And Nembhard got the hand on the ball. And I don't know if Brunson touched it after Nembhard did. And this is going to be close. So the pass towards Brunson was tipped by Nembhard. And I think it went off of Brunson's hand.
You know what, Alec? On that second look now that we got a little more close and on TNT, you might be right. I think that might have actually hit the right finger of Jalen Brunson.
Yeah, that looks to be. So the Pacers, they have more life here. Halliburton 31, Neesmith 30. Those are your highest scores on Indy. Followed by Siakam 17, Nembhard 15, Turner 14. On the Knicks, Anunoby, Bridges 16 each. Hart 8, and McBride 9. Those are your scores.
Balanced scoring all the way across the board. You mentioned on the other side for Cat and Brunson, that was the majority of the damage there. Whoever would have thought we'd be in a 136, 135. The pace of play is just as good for the Knicks. I give them credit for keeping up with the Pacers. But as it is, how many of you, I want to ask us in the on-stretch as we get to the challenge, how many of you had the Pacers and the Knicks in the Final Four?
Hell, I would have expected the Knicks at the beginning of the season. They were one of my preseason picks to make it deep, but I never expected the Pacers. I had questions about if the Pacers were going to make it back because of the injury-riddled teams that they faced between the Bucks and Knicks last year, but they showed that they're no joke.
You're absolutely right, Alec. Again, you had it right in front more so than I did. Again, I just like the offensive from the Pacers side, but you're right. We've got a secondary camera angle. That one's very clear now. That's off of Brunson.
And Rick Carlisle wins the challenge in the end. It was off of Brunson, so the Pacers, they'll inbound it with Nembhard as a trigger man. This is one of the rare teams that loves to run a dual point guard set between Halliburton and Nembhard, and it works.
We're going to get some changes on the floor as well.
Nembhard finds Toppin! Oh! Thunderous slam! Knicks take their final timeout. Obi going to the top.
I apologize because you're a few seconds ahead of me. Yeah, he took the top floor. He just posterized, and he posterized it a big way because this is the final moments of OT. And good luck there to Bridges. You're not contesting that. My goodness, what a take.
Yeah, that was an outstanding jam from Obi Toppin as he took it to the top floor on his former team. How's about this for a measure of revenge? We speak of the Pacers being a group of outcasts. They're showing this now.
I wonder, and I don't think it's going to be called, if Bridges actually fouled Toppin as he finished that dunk. You probably could call that if they wanted to.
I think they could, and I think there should be an and one here. But Bridges, I think he did get a foul as the Knicks, they used their final timeout. The Pacers last year were not known for defense, but they actually improved to middle of the pack defensively. And with their high-flying offense, they could catch up to anyone.
Here's the critical question, the million-dollar one at that, because you know the Knicks are only really going to two players, and Jalen Brunson and Cat. That should make it easier to defend if you're Indiana, but you also got to look probably out for Josh Hart, maybe something like that, try to get a three. Maybe even campaign if they feel comfortable.
I think Cat is your go-to guy from three-point range. He's made 4 so far. If you want to get Payne on the floor for these situations, then be my guest.
We'll see what we get, Mr. Nava. We get another nail-biter here in this opener for OT. It's a pretty good story here for Indiana. We'll see if they can finish it off.
138-135, Pacer lead. The Knicks got it inside on time. Brunson, shake and bake around Nembhard, fires the free on the way. He airballed it, saved inside by Hart. Towns will take it, can't make it. Car crash at the paint, saved by Bridges. This bounces up, and it's out of bounds.
Yeah, this one was tipped all over the place here, but there's only .2 left. I don't think there's going to be enough time to do anything.
No. Jalen Brunson with a rare air ball on a three-pointer. You rarely see him miss those types of shots. And rarely do you see Towns as he tried to hustle one from deep. And as the officials are going to, I believe Rick Carlisle will take his final time out as well, because the Knicks, they're going to defend the inbound to get a late steal.
Yeah, you might as well if you have it. I think that's good coaching. Even though .2, you just don't want to have anything happen underneath the basket. Try to get a chance to advance and finish it off. All things considered, Alec, for Karl-Anthony Towns, after that rebound by Josh Hart, who else? That was a pretty good look for him at the top of the key. He just couldn't finish it.
Yeah, no, he couldn't finish that one, but I'm amazed that the Knicks would miss on back-to-back three-pointers when they've been so clutch in late-game situations in this stage. But the Pacers, they play a brand of basketball that gradually tires you out.
Yeah, they do. And sometimes it ends up working in your favor. But again, this amount of offense between these two, I wouldn't necessarily say it'd be first to 140 in every game, but what a treat it was in the series opener.
And what a treat this is. This is an instant classic of an opening game on the NBA Eastern Conference Final this year between the outcast Pacers and the top-heavy Knicks. But what this Pacer team reminds me of, kind of like the Guardians of the Galaxy. A brand of misfits that brand together, underestimated all throughout the lineup, and with insane depth that they can take on anyone.
I like that. Also a very good franchise, Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah. If you're a hockey lover, you think of the Vegas Golden Misfits in the NHL, and that's that. IndyCar may begin in 4 days, but the Pacers, they are going as fast as Joseph Newgarden in his Game 1 victory. First win in the Eastern Conference Finals in 21 years.
How about that? Again, I always say as much as I like this team, did I even expect them? Probably not. As much as I say that I like the Pacers. The Knicks, I do think that they're going to be able to bounce back from this. They played a heck of a game just to even get to OT anyway, considering, because let's look at it one way. As good as the Knicks are, we can say this about the Pacers. It's the best offense in the league. Being able to go up and down the court smoothly, get defensive stops when they need to, but they're just so efficient. For the Knicks to do this as well, that looks good on them. I'm hoping this is going to be a long series.
And I hope that this goes the full distance. And perhaps he can see either one of these two teams make it to the finals. We don't know who is who. But 31 for Halliburton with 11 assists to his record. I just hope both teams have fun.
Yeah, that's all we can say there. And for Tyrese Halliburton, just add another one as far as clutch situations. This time tying the game, and his team wins it. I mean, that shot, I'm looking at it now, that's over Mitchell Robertson, the highest bounce that you could get, and the little bit of the reverse choke thing that Reggie Miller threw on the other side. Tyrese Halliburton knows the game plan. Good on him.
He's playing like the reincarnation of Reggie Miller as of late for the Pacers, because he's now the second player in franchise hits with 30 points and 10 assists in a playoff game. We talk of Jalen Brunson being the clutch player of the year. Give Tyrese Halliburton his flowers. And Miles Turner, who's seen 3 different eras of Pacer basketball. The Paul George era, the rise and fall of Oladipo and Sabonis, and now the basketball version of the Golden Misfits. He's been through it all, and he's been a fan favorite for Indiana.
This has been a lot of fun, Alec. I'm glad we got a chance to do this. I appreciate you sticking around. We might as well, because we were in the OT anyway. So we were treated for an instant classic on the hardwood here as the Pacers win the first game of the series, 138-135. And I think, honestly, on the Friday side, this might be where I lean, because I'm talking about Dallas and Edmonton after that second period. Well, the third period was a blowout. We'll see if these two teams play close. Maybe this is where it'll go on Friday.
Oh, you're going to get a fun one on Friday in Game 2. Hopefully both teams, the Game 2 will be much more fun. And even in the series, it goes onwards. We can see the fun with these two teams going upwards here, whether it be MSG or Gamebridge. Perhaps some of the members of the Indiana Fever in attendance between Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston.
Yeah, I imagine. Again, it's kind of funny. I'm going to let you go in a second, but the Indiana Fever pretty much outdraw everything. They almost outdraw more than the Pacers, I would imagine. So basketball in Indiana, that's kind of where the lifeblood is and where it's all born. Feels pretty good right now.
Yeah, it is feeling pretty good in the state of Indiana.
We'll talk soon, and I'll probably catch up with you this weekend. And have a good one, Alec. I know we'll talk soon. This was a lot of fun today.
Yeah, tonight was a very fun night.
We'll see you.